Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
Max Gear is a high-performance synthetic gear oil designed to provide maximum protection to heavily loaded gear. Slippery synthetic molecules and center look additive package not only reduce wear, they virtually eliminate both gear and bearing wear. We run 1,000 horsepower through our transmission and differential all season long and never have a problem. Eliminate a variable. Drift with Royal Purple Max Gear. Pour purple, Royal Purple. You can find Max Gear at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
モータースポーツで得た高度な技術をすべてのレイズホイール一本に込める魂は永遠に変わらない。ビヨンド・ザ・レボリューション。ザ・コンセプト・イズ・レーシング。
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack.
They're absolutely shredded now.
That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Bethesda UHP Max tire goes from podium
What a performance.
to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda Tires are designed for your journey.
NGK, the leader in high-ignitability spark plugs, is proud to announce the launch of its Mod Performance Ignition Coils. Designed and built for performance, Mod Coils feature custom primary and secondary windings to increase output and performance. Mod Coils provide maximum levels of dielectric strength, voltage insulation, and durability. Level up like the pros. Choose Mod Performance Ignition Coils from NGK, the official coil sponsor of the Formula Drift Prospect class.
We are flying into a very hot and humid Worldwide Technology Raceway. Make some noise, St. Louis! Signed, sealed, delivered. Send it! Come on! There's a lot at stake here.
Already getting wild out here.
Man, look at Alex Robinson. And he tries to risk it, but ends up fighting into the dust. Look at this, the lights are on. This is round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Olsen gets a little too aggressive, bites off more than he can chew. Look at the proximity from Odie Boxis. Come on, boys, let's get a winner. Odie Boxis gets the win. Send it, we'll see you online or we'll see you another time. See ya. See you at the crossroads. That's right. We are here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, where you can see the arch in the background and the tower and the stands filling up. What a beautiful day. A little bit of cloud coverage here that kind of seals in the humidity a little bit, but backs the sun off just a little bit. But about 80-something degrees compared to, 95 last year. Felt like 110. Got some fans here. I got their umbrellas out. Be respectful of your neighbors. This is round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We had round 3 of our Link Engine Management Pro Spec Championship. We had Osoli. We have some footage of him. Taking a look at 3-time champion James Dean, also a 70-plus point lead over the rest of the pack as Ray Shake there snacking and attacking. I'm Jared Deanna. Joining me here in the booth is the teal Tuerck, as well as the blue beanie, Jacob Gettens, host of the Outer Zone podcast. So if you're looking for some real in-depth information, some great interviews, some great insight, take a listen or even watch as well, the Outer Zone podcast. Jacob Gettens. Jacob, how we doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy the temperature is agreeing with us. The weather has been phenomenal. The new layout and stuff is super exciting. It's St. Louis is coming up there. I mean, it's been a rough couple of years with the weather, and now that everything's cleared up and we can see what this track can really do.
Yeah, and we've seen different layouts of this track. We'll get into that a little bit. Also saw you and Lorette down in the pits during Prospect. I love that different perspective, and I always say, man, I'm kind of envious. I'd love to see you. I'd love to watch an event, get a charcuterie plate, get some of those cured meats from Dmitry Brutskiy, and hang out and just watch an event. I'm up here in the booth, but perspective is key, and you're down there getting some insight. How was that experience watching Prospect, the calamity, the stories, you're down there with the technicians, the mechanics, and even the drivers?
Yeah, it was super cool. It really brought me back to, when I was working with Prospect teams a number of years ago, and it was a lot of fun and all the emotions and stuff boiling over, and the highs and the lows of being there in the hot pits.
Yeah. Taking a look at Dmitry Brutskiy there, multiple Prospect champion going against Rudy Hansen. There we saw a little bit of Mike Power, Dmitry Brutskiy. Brutskiy continued on and then finally got taken out, but some great competition last night, and we talked about it yesterday with the heats during the day and it getting cooler, but admittedly it didn't get down too cold last night. It got down to 68, so the track didn't transform as much as Matt Sopa and I kind of anticipated. What are your thoughts on the track and the conditions?
Yeah, it's been super interesting. I think we've hit a point where the track is very thoroughly rubbered in, so it is still grippy. It didn't seem like it tightened up too much later on, so it could all change tonight, but yeah, we'll see. And there's our seeding bracket. So Dmitry Brutskiy, once again, I believe it was in New Jersey as well. He won the seeding bracket, so he's doing quite well in that seeding system. And then, yeah, Dan Stuke, taking second out of that, and it's been cool to see how we can start to predict things coming out of seeding into the main set of battles.
Yeah, and that our new format, what's your take on it? Going from a kind of one and done or an individual run, we are really building up the essence. And, the seeding brackets in Pro Spec, we take 16 drivers out of those 32. We seed them, backfill 16 to 16. We take 8 drivers in the seeding brackets to backfill the other 24 drivers, right? So what's your take on seeding brackets as opposed to the individual runs as we take a look at our 32 drivers?
I love it. I think it's allowing us to see some battles that maybe we wouldn't have seen previously with the previous single or double run qualifying. An example is like an Adam LZ versus Ben Hobson, which is going to be a very highly anticipated battle coming up here.
Yeah, taking a look there in the pits. That's Ray heads up the RTR camp there. We can see Matt Field. All the cars getting prepped. This is the moment where everybody's kind of got a smile or a smirk or a mean on their face, but overall, it's again Dmitry Brutskiy on the top seating. The big one, James Dean right there. He's our points leader. He comes off with this victory, right? He currently sits number 1, so he gets a bye run because of neither Forrest Wang or Von Gittin Jr., who's the boss. He's watching at home. So he gets a fast pass on the 16. The rest of the field's like, what the heck? But hey, you do well, you're going to get rewarded. And also, again, with James Dean winning Englishtown, how the pre-seeded drivers is how you actually finish in the previous round. It's not the standings that bears repeating. It's how you do in the previous round. So with James Dean winning in E-Town, number 1 spot, nobody's here in 32 spot, so binga bonga, he moves on. These Irish drivers, Irish eyes are smiling, man. Connor Shanahan shaking things up, coming over here. We're going to see him the entirety of the season. But James Dean has that lead, 70+ points.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle for the other drivers, but I mean, we've said it before and we'll say it again. In drifting, anything can happen. So, James Dean, something strange could happen in top 16, and then, Odie could make a run for it. Simon, Freddie, even Ken Gushi at this point in time. There is a possibility statistically. It'd be tough, but crazy things happen all the time.
We're only halfway through, right? And it's literally come down to 1 point at Irwindale. So an Adam LZ, rising occasion, he jumped ship from RTR, says I'm going to campaign my own program. He jumps behind what arguably is one of his favorite drift cars ever, that BMW. He's done well. He won behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang last year, but now here he is in his own campaign car. I thought we were going to see him on a limited schedule. We've only seen him, but not 1 round.
Yeah, it's been crazy. It's one of those, hey, he's doing well, so let's do another round and keep it going.
Yeah. So again, we talk about that point deficit there. This is now not just the seeding. This is going now into the competition. O'Sully. Connor O'Sullivan, what an absolute ledge. That RTS ATS BMW, that's him going against Jeff Donati. He won our previous round in Jersey. Here he is. He wins the overall event, which does give him the points lead as well as just 2 points over the leader. Did you get a little chills, dude?
I got goosebumps really thinking about Utah already. Not that I want to, surpass Seattle, but it's going to come down to one event to win Prospect again.
Yeah.
And it's 2 points, so it's going to be super critical for both of them. And he's going against Tommy Lemaire, arguably one of the best drivers to ever come out of Canada on a super quick rise. But yeah, Connor O'Sullivan, back-to-back wins. Already told me, loves Utah, loves the fast pace, loves how aggressive that track is. He drives for that track, so good luck everybody else, but man.
Yeah, we'll see. Look at Lewis there, all our photographers getting prepped. Got the heat waves on, we got Russo, the 959 boys, and all right, well, place your bets, act now. NXT Bets is providing that service, so you're who you putting your money on, literally and figuratively, because if they win, you win. You're going to scan the QR code that is coming up right about any moment now as our fans are filling up the stands, and there it is. So place your bets, scan that QR code, scan to sign up. You win, they win, everybody wins.
Yeah. I mean, what a way to be even more in depth in the race, right? Like this is it. I mean, if you really think you know what's going to happen, time to put the.
I saw the odds. Did you see the odds come up on,
that was cool.
Social? I like that. It's really cool. Again, we do it in Nitro Cross, and shout out to my boy Todd Ballard and all those guys putting on a good execution there. And again, beautiful weather. So if you're thinking oh, it looks hot, it's perfect. It's absolutely ideal. Cloud cover. We got all the fair foods down there. I know you're not a big carb guy, but that funnel cake is looking right at you.
I saw that. I saw one of the biggest pogos I've ever seen in my entire life. Corn dog is what I think what you guys call them.
Yeah,
crazy.
Corn dog. Yeah, what'd you call it?
Pogo.
No, it's a corn dog. You're an American, bro. Put some respect on it. Lorette, what does this corn dog? What does James Dean call a corn dog in Ireland? That's my first question. Second of all, what's going through his mind?
Jared, I don't know. Jared wants to know what you call a corn dog in Ireland.
Corn dog. We don't have corn dogs, I don't think.
Exactly.
All right,
but
thank you.
What we should do is talk about the track, which we have here in St. Louis. And how is this track treating you?
Yeah, so obviously quite a lot of changes from last year and years previous with the wall on the first outer zone and the last outer zone tightening up a lot. So it's definitely a lot more demanding for the drivers. A lot more risk involved, but when you pull it off, it's very rewarding. It's challenging but rewarding.
Well, I was talking to Chris Forsberg a little bit earlier, and he likened it to a question mark. Would you feel that that's accurate?
Yeah, it really comes to almost a stop, almost turning in on itself at the finish line, and you have to be very careful there because you could easily drop tires where the finish line is. So it's definitely challenging, and but when you get it right, it feels great. It's definitely going to be, I think, quite a few mistakes here by everyone. Even when the sun goes down later for top 16, the track grips up, everything changes, all your visual reference points. It's going to be a challenge, but yeah, I'm excited for it.
Actually, that's a great point. Those visual points, how difficult is that to see at night?
It's very difficult. You it's almost like a totally different track because everything that you were looking at looks a bit different and you're almost questioning, is that what I saw earlier? So you almost have to go off instinct and just hope that it works out and go off your timing from earlier on in the day. It's especially hard in the chase because the smoke is almost thicker with the white lights, the floodlights from above, making the smoke seem more. So it's always a challenge, but yeah, I think we're all up for it.
Yeah, we love it. All right, well, James, we'll see him next in top 32 with his Barion, and he is, of course, advancing to the top 16.
Thank you, Lorette. And so they don't have corn dogs in Ireland. I'm not
crazy.
Now I can't go to Ireland. I love corn dogs. All right, taking a look at this track here. 4 outside zones. Previously inside clips. What's the flow here? What watching and spectating pro spec. Different size tires, more horsepower. All those things considered. What do you think is going to be the point of interest advancing here to going to pro?
Yeah, the biggest thing is going to be when and where you leave all of these zones because of how interconnected it is, because of how flowy this track is. Leaving early or leaving late coming out of any of the zones is going to be a massive problem. We're going to talk about it a little bit later, but leaving 3 you're going to know what's going to happen going into 4, which is crazy. But yeah, the added section to the end of the track is really shaking things up and making it very unpredictable.
Last night for me, or even yesterday for ProSpec, going from outside zone 1 to 2, that got really interesting. That kind of played a major role later in the evening, really trying to link those together. But here's the judges' notes brought to you by K&N.
Yeah, so stay on the correct line after outside zone 2, so as you transition out to the edge of that wall, and then fill outside zone 3 completely, and you need to do that to make outside zone 4 and make that look smooth. A lot of drivers coming in at that wall were just adding a ton of angle at the last minute. You will not get through outside zone 4 if you do that. The smoother, the slower you make those transitions, the easier the track is going to end up.
And I'm going to quote you, which I utilized yesterday. You said, be a C, not a V.
Yeah.
So, basically that nice draw, that arc, as opposed to coming off a 3 to 4, sometimes you'll V-line it in as opposed to maybe even tapping that bumper on the wall without disrupting your line, that fluid line to outside zone 4.
Yeah, make it look like a candy cane, not a spear. It's kind of what it looks like. You have to do that smooth.
Okay, a lot of analogies here.
Trying.
Yeah.
All the food.
Yeah,
It's food day in St. Louis.
Do we need to eat or what? All right, here we go. Jonathan Hurst, Nick Noback. Look at these two gentlemen here. Again, these guys look more like a power slap competition than a drift fight. Jonathan Hurst, Nick Noback. We got the Cadillac here, Mr. Cool. Again, it is cool weather, and then Noback and then Noback Racing BMW on Kenda tires. This should be a good battle. To Nick Noback, a little bit of a smoother driver than Jonathan Hurst, Cash Racing, Mr. Cool, but just a fierce driver. He's going to be leading as he was locked and loaded. He was preceded, didn't need to go into the seating bracket. The first battle here in St. Louis, and there we go, right into it, snapping off those taillights. I know he's got that graphic out back, and the taillights already getting knocked out. As look at that, Nick Noback goes right into the side. Mr. Nick No Side instead of No Back, now going to that final outside zone. Ooh boy, gets into the dirt. All right, these guys, like I said, Noback a little more aggressive, or excuse me, Hurst a little more aggressive than Noback. So need to smooth that thing out, man.
Yeah, Hurst, just coming off the line, you already knew he was going to be aggressive. And now that we've got that wall going through the first outside zone, there's no room for error at all. And that's what you see here. So Jonathan Hurst, straight line entry, but goes a little bit too deep, and that's where you see the correction of angle just as the back end touches the wall. And he's a good job here through the second outside zone, able to fill that quite nice. And as we go into the 30, adds a little bit of angle right at the end, and then starts to push out, but isn't able to get back on throttle and catch the car. So the judges are going to be looking to see if that was 2 wheels off, which here at this track is an incomplete. So if 2 wheels go past that line completely, you can see the paint between the wheel and the line. That is it. That's
going to be incomplete. And it happened a few times yesterday, and especially in seating bracket. So here we go. Nick Noback will now lead, and Jonathan Hurst will give chase. That back right corner, did you see the Squidward graphic?
I did. I liked it. Patrick on the other side. Oh, it's great.
So we got Squidward got an eye taken out there on that initiation, and Nick Noback will again now lead.
It looks like our track officials just checking things out. Whenever there's contact like that, you want to make sure there's no debris. So taking a quick look, everything seems to be okay, and we'll swap them around.
All right, down there on the line, Matt Sopa, co-host for ProSpec. He's now reassumed his role there on the start line. Lights extinguish, and it's go time. Nick Noback leaving in the BMW. Here comes John Hurst, a little launching entry into that first outside zone. Very smooth by Noback in comparison to Jonathan Hurst into the outside zone 2. The eye in the sky in the outside zone 2. And there, look at that, drawing that smooth line. As you say, that candy cane, that sweeping line into that final outside zone. So there is a tap, a little disrupted, throws Jonathan Hurst off and throws Nick Noback off. That could play a role there because, again, tapping that wall. If you do tap it, and we brought that up in our track explanation, if you tap it, don't let it disrupt the attitude of the car. And it definitely did for Nick Noback. And then eventually, reaction to Jonathan Hurst.
Yeah, and there is a couple of spots in this track you were allowed to decel, so we're going to get into that in a minute. But the first outside zone there from Nick Noback looked good. Transitions pretty late, dips one wheel a little bit far out of that zone. So looking aggressive as well. Now Hurst does a great job there in the chase, does pull out a little bit of angle there to get the proximity. Nick hits, and then Jonathan hits him right after, and then at this point, Nick is now 2 wheels off. So what the judges are going to be looking at here is you are allowed to decel in that area, going up into the 4th outside zone. Did Nick decel too much or disrupt the car by hitting it, and then cause Jonathan to then, crash into the side of him? Would Jonathan have hit Nick Noback if it wasn't for that wall tap? That's what I'm more or less surmising from this situation. So the judges are going to be watching replays kind of over and over again. We've got a few different angles and a few different ways to look at this that, we don't pull up on the broadcast. You don't need to see them scrubbing frame by frame back and forth. So,
but the angles definitely do help because we are utilizing, obviously, the on-track static cameras that are obviously just on there. But the two drones we have, obviously the FPV, and we have the drone kind of the more stable static that's kind of looking straight down. Utilizing those angles, it's just been such a great asset for not only the judges but for the fans to really understand. And that's our job, right? Is to educate, entertain, have a good time, but also really break it down to what the criteria is.
Yeah, and ultimately, Jonathan did have contact in outside zone 1. Nick was not super deep in, so it didn't affect anything there. This outside zone 4 is going to be a point of contention basically until this event is over because it is a large amount of compression between the two drivers. Both drivers come in very quickly, and they will, and what I mean by compression is they will come together very quickly, and it doesn't take much. So
taking a look there in Adam LZ in the Drift HQ pit, you got Pit Pete right there, the dog. That's Colette Davis, Adam LZ's lady, and
looks like Pete's cheering for RTR there. You see that little flight tag on Pete? That's interesting.
Oh, and that's interesting. Is Pete playing some mental games there because he's going against Hobson? And look at this, Jonathan Hurst gets the victory, and would love the judges, one of the judges, throw on the headset to elaborate. Robbie, Brian, or Vern, we didn't introduce you, but they're busy gentlemen. There it is. So going down to Robin Ishida, elaborate if you will. Jonathan Hurst getting the victory.
That was a hard one because, there was a tap on the wall earlier when there was the first half of the battle, but then the last outside zone 4, it was almost like Noback led Hurst into the wall pretty much because he did the tap as well, and that kind of messed up everything at the end. And overall, looking at everything else, we just had to give it to Hurst.
Yeah, that was just, not an exclamation point, kind of the opposite of it, right? Yeah. Just that was a major mistake that really threw him off. So very unfortunate for Noback. I mean, all signs were saying that it was kind of going his way, but that is just that one mistake that really sealed in the flavor. So here we go, advancing on Ken Gushi and Dmitry Brutskiy. Gushi, who's currently high up in the standings. I believe he's currently 5th. He's been a busy man. He's currently 3rd in Formula Drift Japan right now. Feeling confident, did a little bit of a refresh on his car. So the Gretti Mati's 3's racing 86. Oh, and Brutskiy hits. He straightens out there on initiation. The never settle BMW again doing double duty. Pro spec yesterday, as we said, #1 in the seeding brackets. He's had a lot of track time, but unfortunately he does get disrupted, or his vehicle goes out of shot, and there we go. And now bringing it across. Take a look at different angles there, but right out of the gates, Brutskiy with that major mistake as we get intimate with the back end there of Ken Gushi.
Yeah, it was a great initiation there from Ken. I really like the way that he kind of set things up. So very faint initiation, and then was able to push it into that zone. And then Brutskiy just overshoots it. I mean, that's all it is. So it wasn't like Ken was overly deep. He wasn't grinding into the wall. Dmitry just got a little bit too aggressive there. But Ken, I mean, the driving we're seeing in his line and angle right now is a great representation of his season. It's not perfect, but it's very consistent, and that is what got Ken into 5th, and is what is going to get Ken, a bit of a leg up here at this battle. Is, it wasn't anything crazy. He isn't taking a ton of risks. It's just very smooth. It's very consistent. We see a small correction there, but that's it. This is very much the Ken Gushi of old.
Yeah, absolutely. Great analogy there, and we're seeing Brutskiy talking to our Matt Sopa. Might be calling a competition timeout here. You're allowed one and only one, or if he's just going to turn it around.
Yeah, it was a good hit. There's
No, looks like he's turning around.
Yeah. With the way these cars are built now, I mean, the suspension components are built to collapse in some circumstances to allow other parts of the car not to get damaged, right?
Right.
It's very easy to change a trailing arm or a tow arm or any of the control arms underneath. Very difficult to change a subframe.
Right.
So, break the $5 part to save the $500 part.
Absolutely. So here we go, Brutskiy on the start line, sans that back end. We'll see how he manages leading Ken Gushi. He's really going to need to force an error by Ken Gushi, but as you said, out front, I think he's really going to kind of dial it back, not go to full 10, maybe just about a 7.5, see his passing still, right? So, but just as I say that, Ken Gushi may be giving him too much respect, but, at this point, Didn't have too big of a correction so far, taking that inside tighter line, now works it into that final outside zone 4. So again, not that hit, but you know, would like to see a little bit more out of Ken Gushi.
Yeah, it wasn't super aggressive. I mean, there is a tactic to be played where you don't, you know somebody's made a large mistake behind you, so you don't go, 10-10s all the way through. What I will say though, Dmitry Brutskiy's lead run does look really good, which is kind of a shame that, it's not going to potentially make up for the mistake that was made previously. But it's a really good run. What is interesting though is Ken's car bounced really heavily through the second outside zone. There's not a lot of things that would create that. So I want to, I think they're going to be looking at that car afterwards. But Dmitry Brutskiy's run through that, I mean, it was really good. It was really consistent. That is what you need to do to hopefully get a battle win after a mistake, but we'll see.
Well, here it is, Ken Gushi, the OG, original Gushi. And there it is in the Greddy Motti's Toyota GR86 gets the victory. And as he gets the win, another driver that is moving on, Jonathan Hurst. Lorette, what's cooking with, is it Squidward or is it, which creatures hurt more?
Well, I think what's cooking with Jonathan is that we heard the judges say that you were led into the wall and you jumped out of the car and you said something to us.
Yeah, for sure. After we got led into the wall, I had to slow way up, dump the clutch and try to get back into it, and knew something broke in the rear end from maybe the wall, the impact or something, and luckily barely got over the finish line. I knew Nick kind of went off too, so I was really hoping that the judges kind of seen that, but at the same time in my lead lap, we had also dropped a tire in the same spot and kind of got into the wall in zone 1 too, so just thankful. Teams, they're doing great. Car's looking good. We're liking the new livery. Just having fun and looking forward to battling James Dean in top 16. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorette. And Patrick, that was the other one. But yeah, good looking livery. The pride of Paducah, definitely a fierce competitor, so stoked that he got to move on. Shanahan, Castro, Castro, he's been dealt some tough battles, and Shanahan's out for it. He made the claim. He's like, look, I'm going to do good in Jersey. He did well. One of the most fierce battles. If you want to, we'll probably play it at some point. We got some downtime. I mean, talk about chills. Shanahan and Aasbo in Jersey, some of the best. And then notably, Castro and James Dean in Orlando years ago. That is probably #1 in my books, is the most gnarly gangster battle I've ever seen. So look out. Here we go. Shanahan, Castro. Ireland versus Dominican Republic. All right, the Red Bull BMW goes in. You see that trunk flap up. Oh, that back right corner. He very well might have a DB'd. Let's take a look at it and make sure. But, oh boy, the tire is off. That's going to definitely hurt Shanahan here as he transitions in, and with that, we'll see again the contact there, or was it too low a pressure? And that is obviously very much DB'd, and he did go into that wall there. So the contact could have caused it, which he would have to call a we'll get into that a little bit. Let's break it down.
We'll get into the rules here in a second about what Connor Shanahan's options are at this moment, but yeah, it was interesting just watching him come off the line. The way he started to initiate did put him almost parallel for a moment, and I'm very curious if that's what ended up doing it, is just getting the wheel into the wall very early, and that's what ended up stripping the wheel off. But I'm sure once we get to the replay, we'll be able to look into that a little bit more. But this is huge. This is not a great situation for Connor Shanahan. I will say, though, huge props. Finished the run.
Yeah, continued on.
Great in that run. I mean,
and Castro, a great chase run, even given the scenario.
Exactly. It's very difficult to hold these cars back. To Castro's point, these cars are super fast. So if the one in front of you is down, half its grip, and you're still able to keep on it, that's incredible.
Yeah, so here we are again. Take a look at it.
Yeah, so it looks like right there, that initial contact is what ended up doing it. And then right here in the transition, you can really see it. I think we had an angle before that really showed it. I don't know if it came off even before he made contact with the wall, but wow. The tire, I mean, it held on there for a little bit, but Castro, amazing job there in the chase. And yeah, that was very, very unfortunate there for Shanahan.
Yeah, at one point, I mean, that was like a 45-degree angle. I'm talking about like this axis, kind of left to right as opposed to kind of, up and down. That was wild that he still continued with that.
They both look really rough.
Oh my gosh.
Something is going on there. I don't know if both wheels.
I think it's just throwing off that left-hand side. It's hopping.
Yeah, and you can see Rome out there just came out. So, you know, Rome's team is the one that's supporting the car and getting everything up and running. And yeah, they're gonna have to look into this. That is a terrible situation.
All right, so yeah, so in this instance, you know, abiding to the rule book, the contact caused the D-beat as opposed to if he had a DB that didn't have contact, just if
right.
it DB'd due to low pressure, it would be one and done.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why I wouldn't mind seeing a couple other replays just to make sure of that. You know,
different angles.
Yeah, just to make sure it didn't DB'd at initiation, because he is very aggressive and he did have the tires lit up very quickly. So I just wouldn't mind seeing that part of it to truly understand. But as of right now, with the information we have at hand, it looks like it happened when he touched the wall. But yeah, wow. They do run very low tire pressure in these cars. I mean, oftentimes they're down into the single digits. To give you an idea, you know, your road car is going to be 30 to 40 PSI in a standard, you know, not even SUV, but like compact car. So,
all right, here's an overhead view. I don't even know if we're going to see from this angle.
Yeah, so you can see it lights up really quick. So I think it was just that quick tap there is when it came off and he was able to get through the rest of it. My concern now is that left side rear, because we saw smoke coming off that even all the way back to the pits. So,
well, you know, we're fixated here. Let's look at line though too. I'd like to see a full run. This is a good angle.
Yeah. So there, now that's definitely it. Yeah, wow. But
all right.
yeah.
Well, we'll get back to that. The contact, DB to the tires, so therefore he is able to replace the tires. Castro would be able to replace his rear tires as well, because Shanahan will be on new ones, right? So, but Shanahan will have to utilize a competition timeout. Castro will not. So a competition timeout being utilized as we'll advance on and revisit the second half. And again, we're fixated on the tire, but the runs in itself weren't that bad. So, you know, all things considered, Shanahan got a full pull and Castro a good chase run. So here we go, moving on. Dylan Hughes and D-Mads, this is hometown track. He'd love to put on a show, but he's got to get through the dozer. Dylan Hughes, as he flirts with the wall right there, a little more modern BMW as opposed to Shanahan's E36. And now coming into that third outside zone, D-Mads, that Fuel Lab vehicle now coming to that final outside zone, transitioning in. Here goes Dylan Hughes, just barely gripping into that outside zone forward. D-Mads grips up and shoots in on the inside of that final outside zone. Let's run it back. Again, Derek Madison, first time in front of his hometown crowd. He wants to make STL proud.
Yeah, and something that happened in practice you may not be aware of is Derek lost a large amount of oil, so hopefully the engine's all right, but look at Dylan Hughes, good initiation, gets right into it, could have held into that zone a little bit longer, but Derek Madison is struggling to keep up there, which makes me think there's a possibility he's down on horsepower with some engine damage, but hopefully not. But I mean, Dylan Hughes through 3 looks great. Smooth transition there into 4, digs in, and Derek Madison overcommits just a little bit. And that's what we talked about. That's not a C at all. That is definitely a V there from Derek Madison.
All right, so yeah, I saw Derek Madison. I think he dragged oil from the track all the way back to the pits.
Yeah.
So you know, he definitely shellacked the track.
Yeah, it's never a good situation.
No, definitely not. So and as you said, insult to injury here. Just not only just greasing the track, but also could be down on power, could have a bit of a hurt engine here. So here we go. Derek Madison now out front. Dylan Hughes and his pops, his spotter in his head. Let's see how Derek Madison fares with him out front, and Dylan Hughes in the chase position. Initiates outside zone 1. You see a little correction there. Inside the cockpit of the Fuel Lab S14 now in a second. Outside zone he hits. Straightens out. Dylan Hughes continues on, still applying that pressure. Look at that, good fortitude. Now into that final outside zone. Madison brings it in a lot cleaner of a line out front. As Dylan Hughes, I mean, look, kudos to Dylan for not backing down.
Yeah, very
Don't back
smart.
down, never give up.
Nope, never give up. Yeah, that was a very, very smart run there from Dylan Hughes. We take a look down here at Connor Shanahan's car. You can see, obviously, it doesn't take much to get the wheel back on. I'm not seeing any parts other than that. So, swapping back to our replay. So, D-Mads with a faint entry there. It doesn't get all the way out to first outside zone. And Dylan, you know, he is definitely playing it safe there. Derek looks like he was going 2 wheels off anyways, and then, you know, just catches the wall, which puts him back on a good line. Through 3 could have been a little bit deeper, and then through this transition, you can see just not able to get the power down, cuts it a little bit short, and then goes a bit wide. But Dylan Hughes, very veteran move there.
Yeah.
I guess we got to call Dylan Hughes a veteran at this point.
Yeah.
He's a veteran.
Yeah, I think just, pro spec, accolades, and then going into pro. And unfortunately, Derek Madison is knocked out here in his hometown crowd. But Dylan Hughes, get bucked up, brother. Congratulations. The Royal Purple O'Reilly Auto Parts BMW advances on to the top 16. Shanahan getting strapped in, ready to head back out in that Red Bull BMW. Garagistic operated. So congratulations to Dylan Hughes. Shanahan and Castro will have to complete here in the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Speaking of Rockstar, Ryan Tuerck and that Toyota GR Corolla, the Rain X vehicle. And a happy birthday to Ryan Litteral from Colton, California, the Sunoco Extreme Sim Magic S14 collab built.
Literally his birthday.
Literally his birthday, mate. All right, Ryan Tuerck, live free or die, New Hampshire's motto. And you know what? Ryan Tuerck's going to try to blow out Litteral's candles here.
Yeah.
All right, so Ryan Tuerck will be leading in that 411, the Nitto tire shrouded vehicle. Running some new Titan 7 wheels. Saw a post out there. So
right.
And he was. Did you see the off-track wind testing? They had the hatch off and cut some holes in it. I don't know. It's Papadakis, the mad Greek scientist over there. Papadakis Racing Camp. Here we go. Ryan Tuerck out front. Ryan Litteral in the chase. The battle of the Ryans. Here we go. Rain X Toyota GR Corolla in that second outside zone. Ooh, looks like Litteral noses in. He does eventually reinitiate in that second outside zone. Looks like a taillight swinging in the wind. Now into this final outside zone. Let's see, is it a C or a V, or is it a Rain X Toyota GR Corolla? Dig it deep into that last outside zone. Oh, Litteral flirting with that tire wall, and that played a major role last night.
Yeah, got a little spicy there at the end. Tuerck, we'll talk about his initiation here because it's kind of interesting. So as he comes up, you can see that feint and then really catches onto the power here right at the beginning. And it doesn't get him to fill the entire zone, but then here, it looks like Litteral tries to dive in and catch the transition at the right time, but gets a little bit too aggressive, and that's why he's got to straighten up. And then through 3, everything's looking good. Tuerck able to get the car close to the wall, fills all that outside zone, but after that mistake from Litteral, you're just playing catch up for the rest of the run. And you want to fill the void, you want to try and get as close as you can, but in doing so, you're going to pull out angle, you're going to have a bunch of issues. So it also looked like Litteral there might have caught the wall a bit earlier, leaving one, and that's what caused that into 2. So yeah, just a little bit sloppy there for Litteral. But I will say though, he drives with a ton of style and a ton of angle, and it's a great way to get somebody to choke up behind you.
Yep. All right, so talking a little strategy there. You can see the staggering of Ryan Tuerck. Now he's going to pace him, see what goes on. No cones are hit. We got a clean start here. Ryan Litteral initiates. Great looking livery. The Sunoco Race Fuels S14 on Kenda tires. Now transitions at outside zone 2. So Ryan Litteral giving him a little room here. Let's see how they handle outside zone 3. See a quick little decrease of angle there approaching outside zone 3. Then going to 4, dialing in. Ryan Litteral really on the outside line, and Ryan Tuerck follows him in suit. So some great driving by both the drivers. Let's analyze and see the different angles there. Did you see that quick little kind of decrease of angle?
Yeah, there was a bit of shimmying going on. There's even a bit of a shimmy there on initiation. You'll see the front end of Ryan Litteral's car kind of dive in right there. Not as apparent through this one, just the way that he's getting the car to come to angle, using his foot pedal to try and do that. But not too bad there for Ryan Litteral. You can see there's the shimmy that Jared was talking about earlier, where he has to pull some angle to drive the car. And, I mean, Ryan Tuerck in the chase, he knows what to do. He knows how aggressive to be, not to overcommit on any of these. And, I mean, these guys have been driving together for a while, so, fully aware of what Ryan Litteral can do and how much angle he could throw at any minute to, kind of choke you off a little bit.
Yeah, and we're going to see Litteral out there at Grid Life next weekend, Road America. So here we go. Ryan Tuerck looks like he gets the win. Ryan Tuerck gets the win. Happy birthday again to Ryan Litteral. We'll party at Road America, Grid Life next weekend. But also another thing I was going to bring up, look at the overhang of Ryan Tuerck's bumper, or the lack thereof, compared to some of the other vehicles like an S chassis, like a Ford Mustang. It is very much minimal compared to some of these other cars. And with the K-Rail, it has that step down. It's not flat. It has that kick out, and that literally helps kick a car up. So I say all that because he's really got to, tread lightly and not go too hard into those walls because they could bite back.
Yeah, you got to be super careful when you don't have a lot of overhang. The distance between the wheel to the very back end of the car, you get much deeper into these zones. So the downside is you could make a large mistake much quicker. The upside is you are able to get deeper into the zones, which makes it difficult for the chase car to kind of follow you through part of them. So, high risk, high reward.
Pros and cons. All right, here we are on the second half of this battle. Remember, Shanahan hit the wall out of the gate, DB to the tire, did complete the run. Both the drivers, Connor in the lead, the Shanahan, the Shadow, and Jonathan Castro, Dominican's finest out front. Let's see what we got here from this LTH Toyota GR86. Castro puts it right in that first outside zone, transitioning now into second outside zone. Shanahan attacks very aggressively outside zone 2. He knows he needs to potentially maybe force a mistake here by Castro, but Castro rock solid. And again, that Toyota GR86. Can the tires, Shanahan lets his presence be felt. Like I said, the Shadow always can never leave the Shadow, man. He is always right there.
I saw a little bit of liquid
what's
there
he
for a
peeing
second.
out the back there?
Yeah, there's a little bit of liquid that came out the back. Hopefully that's nothing too major, but Shanahan, knowing that he's at potentially a deficit, although he did complete his run, it did look good. He was much slower than he should have been with the wheel going off. Very aggressive in the chase. Now Castro up front could have been a little bit deeper through the first outside zone, comes out of the second outside zone a little bit late, and you can just see the hands of Shanahan constantly making corrections, constantly trying to find a better way to attack the car in front of him. So Castro there could have been a little bit deeper. I mean, Castro filled all of the zones, I would say 50%. He got one wheel into all of them, should be getting 2 into the majority of them. Wasn't quite there, but I mean, Shanahan behind him, man, he really is one of the greatest chase drivers in the series right now. I don't think you can argue that.
No, I mean, he was, like I said, just deeming him the Shadow. It's like Peter Pan, man. You just can't, your Shadow's always there, right? And just giving him that buzzsaw. I do give him accolades. Looks like they're out of the car. That's kind of the Irish way. They get out of the car, dab it up, and you can see Castro and Shanahan rapping out. What do you think they're talking about?
I mean, I'm sure, Shanahan's like, I lost a wheel, I made it around. I mean, that's the part I'm very interested to understand is the way I'm looking at this is he did DB.
Yeah.
He completed the course, he filled all the zones, he did meet all the requirements.
How big a role does that play?
Exactly. This is very similar to somebody being like a cylinder down or 2 cylinders down. You have less speed. If we look at it from the aspect of speed through the course, he has a deficit, but that's not really something we judge on. So it's an interesting situation because very rarely does somebody DB'd and still able to complete the course and fill all the zones at angle. The only thing he's missing is the speed of the track, which isn't something that's a judging criteria.
Loving the camaraderie here.
Yeah.
I do like this touch. We've seen it at Drift Masters. We've seen it at LZ World Tour. Get out of the car. I really want to in traditional like stick and ball and football and stuff like that. You hear like kind of the banter. I'd love to get these guys mic'd and see what they say. So
it's like the cool
FYI, Kemp, let's get some mics on these guys.
Yeah, give Sopa a big stick with a mic.
Right there we go. There we go. Now we're talking.
Give Sopa another job. I feel like he does every job here.
Okay, don't give him too much respect. Okay. He points at the guys, gives them thumbs up like he's Rambo. He's the Rambo meme.
He windmills from time to time.
I called it the Woo Mill. It's the Von Gittin Jr. Woo Mill.
Oh, see, I was going back to Townsend from The Who.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. All right. I appreciate the. What are we doing here?
Are we pushing it back?
Oh, rolling fenders. I like this. Again, I like the smile. Shanahan's such a great addition to Formula Drift. He's had a bit of a tough go at Drift Masters. He's had some kind of bad luck here, but overall, great addition. Love seeing his face here and his attitude. It's great to see talent from all over the world come over here and really take a stab here at Formula Drift. And he really is doing just that, taking a stab at it.
His family's probably already texting him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know Jack's already on the phone, like giving him notes or telling him what he could have done or should have done.
Yeah, he spots from across the globe.
Yeah, he really does. Really does. So yeah, it is a family affair, that's for sure. So let's take a look here. Oh, there we go. That's the replay we're looking for. So let's take a look here at Shanahan's run. Let's forget the fact that he lost a tire and just look at this from angle and line and fluidity. So doesn't quite fill all of that zone. Maybe if the tire was on, it would have, but as he comes through 3, does get all of that zone. Castro does a great job there in the chase. Maybe not as much proximity as we saw. And then Castro there, really hesitant in the chase through outside zone 4, able to get through it. I mean, if you forget the fact that he was off a tire, that he only had one wheel with grip, it was a phenomenal run.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part here. Once again, I kind of go back to if somebody was just down on power, if nitrous wasn't working, if a blower belt came off and they still got through.
Like Mata, right? Losing his supercharger.
Right.
Nitrous offset that. We saw that with Oda. We saw that with Simon.
I mean, the last run of Chelsea Denofa, you know, he had no nitrous and he had a 600 horsepower engine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what the judges are looking at, and tough call here.
Here we go. So, all right, Jonathan Castro, looks like we got one more time. Oh, look at this across the board. So it's a one more time. It's 3 decisions across the board. So it goes to a forced one more time. So 1 vote Shanahan, 1 vote Castro, one more time. You know, that's a super tough call. Like you said, his brother, right now in Cork, his family's in Cork, right?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay, it's 11 p.m.
Yep.
So 3 hours when we begin top 16. So figure 2:30 is when you wake up for top 16. So literally, again, a family affair. He literally does spot from across the globe.
I'm telling you, Ireland, Norway, all these countries, they're ready.
Oh, they're in. Yeah.
They took a nap at lunch. They're ready for tonight.
They trained for it.
Yeah.
All right. So Chris Forsberg, Robert Thorne. Robert Thorne, you know, another driver that made the jump from pro spec to pro, going against a veteran, a 3-time champion, Chris the Force Forsberg, in his Nismo Auto Parts NOS Energy Drink. All new Z going against the Smedegard Racing BMW of Robert Thorne. And this should be a good battle. 2 very different schools of thought, background, racing, you know, and Chris he was the first ever what I would call people's champion. You know, you had Sam Hubinette, Reese Mill, and Tanner Faust, right? They're traditional racers. They were, you know, from rally to stunt driving to this. Chris was the true drifter that became a champion. Robert Thorne, here he is making the jump from traditional racing McLarens, Porsches, all that, and now here he is having a blast in drifting, but he would love to get this victory here, but obviously Forsberg wants to get it just as bad, if not even more. So here we go into the second outside zone. Goes Chris Forsberg at 64. Robert Thorne surges the attack. We talked about how loose his car is and then just grips out of the hole, out of the pocket when he transitions. Now into the outside zone 4. And it looks like flirt with the edge of the track. It looked like that back right definitely was off. But we're going to need to take a look at that different angle. And we saw that coincidentally with Alex Jaeger. You know, they operate out of his pits the Steal It Nissan 370Z. And unfortunately, you know, in seating, he had 2 wheels off. And that was unfortunate. Let's take a look at it again.
Yeah, Forsberg is one of the drivers that took to this track and all the changes the quickest. So you can really see it through the majority of this run. Does an amazing job through the first outside zone. Good transition, very late into the second outside zone, but that is kind of what we're looking for. Robert Thorne in the back, making some adjustments, not super fluid or consistent, but not doing anything too crazy. And this is what we're looking for, just one. I think that was just one. So Forsberg looked like he dipped 1 tire off through there, which isn't what we want to see, but it's not uncommon right. Yeah, it's
just
using all the track.
And look how settled Forsberg is. Yeah. That overhead, you know, Aaron Jesse, he's got that more static versus the FPV that we're looking at right now, Justin Smash. But the car, you know, look at, I mean, minimal wheel feed from Forsberg. Thorne really kind of, you see him kind of bouncing around the car, the attitude. Thorne, they both, I mean, he did mimic his line. Yeah, so kudos to Thorne. But again, you know, Chris, a little more smooth, glassy water. Thorne, a little bit choppy. See those white peaks out there in the lake, if boat analogies.
Yeah, you can see the inputs from Robert Thorne in the chase, whereas Chris Forsberg, I mean, if we didn't actually see his hands in the car, you wouldn't know he's changing it.
Right. Here we go, Robert Thorne out front, Chris Forsberg in this chase position. Let's see how Thorne handles it. Oh, we got a restart.
Got a cone.
All right, so a cone was hit by Thorne early on in the chicane, regardless of where it's at. Just FYI, if you're watching for the first time, our start chicane, that is intended to pair them up, not have a drag race off the line so that that chase car doesn't get left on the line. Also, 3 strikes and you are out. How do you gain a strike? Either you hit a cone, you leave the line early before all the lights have extinguished, or you even sleep on the line. What we'd like to do is basically no longer than 1 formula drift, 2 formula drift, go. If you stay on the line longer than that, that would be considered a strike. Here we go, Robert Thorne now out front. Chris Forsberg in that chase position, now transitioning in. Good job by Robert Thorne. Chris Forsberg giving him a little bit of room there now in the transition to outside zone 2. Robert Thorne looking a lot more settled. I talked about kind of the corrections and feeding the wheel, but now here we go in the outside zone 4. Big snappy transition by Thorne. Wow, he almost rotated there, and Forsberg gave a little bit of distance, but Thorne pulled that off. Holy cow. Houdini over here, a magician on that flick. I thought he was going to loop that thing.
I did too. I mean, looking at him come through 3, he had 3 wheels in the zone in 3, and I was like, what is about to happen here with the amount of speed that he had? I didn't know how he was going to handle it, but he did. So, dang, tons of style coming out of Robert Thorne all of a sudden. I love it. So initiation, a little bit hesitant, so he can add a bit more angle from this view. A little bit of a correction there as we come to our second outside zone. You'll see it here in 3. So look at that. He's basically got 3 wheels in and then really picks up speed here, whips the car around, and he does stall up. So the hard part here is we want the drivers to be slowing after their transition, but not quite to that level. So it's not incorrect, but it is not the most correct way to get around this track is kind of the way that I could explain this. So very different. And this is what I really like about drifting is there are multiple ways you can go through the track and get this. But Chris Forsberg in the chase does an amazing job not to overcommit, not to get too aggressive, probably knew what was about to happen. Look at this. This might be becoming a thing here.
I'm totally cool with it. Again, I think there's a level of respect, and maybe, if you're at fault, I think this is the evolution of, not the evolution, it needs to happen. And we're seeing a lot of, Formula One fights. We're seeing fights in NASCAR, just this, you coulda, shoulda, woulda, I didn't mean to. And there's some ill intention and there's some honest sportsmanship that does happen, and there is confusion. And, I know looking at the back end of Robert Thorne's vehicle, no taillights. I don't know if there was a brake light on there. That gets really difficult.
All right, let's take a look at our BC Racing coilovers side by side here. So 2 very different tactics when it comes to the lead run here. Chris Forsberg, very smooth. All of his transitions are very smooth, whereas Robert Thorne gets super aggressive. And that's really the difference here is both these drivers taking a different way to get through our 3rd and 4th zone. The 1st and 2nd zone, pretty similar. Chris's just was a little bit smoother. So, there's some comparisons there, but this is the beauty in drifting is we give them the rules, we give them the criteria, and 2 drivers find 2 different ways to accomplish that goal. Yeah, and you pointed out there, Brutskiy and Thorne hit earlier in practice, and that can impede one not only mentally but also physically. That back end, that big duck club, you could see a lot of ducks were hurt in the making of this event. A lot of BMWs in pro spec, and then just a little scattering there. All right, slide him left for Forsberg, right for Robert Thorne. It looks like Chris Forsberg gets 1 vote one more time, and Forsberg does win, but it was not unanimous. Looked like Vernon went with the 1 more time, but Forsberg does get the win and advances on. But Robert Thorne, great effort there, really splitting hairs, and I think evidence of that is Vernon saying, hey, 1 more time. But I could see Vernon talking to Robbie and talking to Eggert here and elaborating on that. Yeah, so one of the notes from the actual drivers meeting is outside zone 4 should be approached with smooth and control. My guess would be that the judges are going, well, we told you we want you to be smooth and controlled through there. Ooh. Is that smooth? I mean, it was sick. Yeah. But it's not the most smooth thing in the world. Yeah, it was definitely sick. But again, we always think that backies are sick. Backwards entries, right? And it's just hard to follow. Yeah, right. So like Atlanta, right? If it's Mad Mike or Conrad Grunwald or Chelsea, for those backy entries, they're kind of known for that. But it's really hard act to follow. As we take a look at Matt Field and Diego Higa, these guys have seen battle against each other 1 time before, and Matt Field being the victor of that. So Brazil versus USA, and again the Diego Higa JDM Supreme. He's got that Street Hunters body kit. Shout out TJ Hunt. But Matt Field, man, a lot of eyeballs on him. That Borla Heatwave Visuals Lean Customs GT Radial Corvette out front initiate. Diego Higa, again, just absolutely progressing with every round behind the wheel of this vehicle. Again, that vehicle 1 time piloted by Ryan Tuerck. He's making it look good. But Matt Field pulling away from Diego Higa, the Beast from the Bay, the 777 now coming into that final outside zone. I know Scarps is cheering him on here in the building and now crossing that finish line. There we are, taking a look at Field and Higa. Yeah, Matt Field has been on one since the first lap of practice, and I'm not shocked by this run even a little bit. So Matt Field, a little bit of a hesitation there before his initiation. You can almost call it like a balk, not intentional, just trying to make sure he's in the right spot. Now Higa, that was his biggest mistake there as he transitions into 2, does it too late, almost catches the rumble strips, and then from there, good luck keeping up with Matt Field in that Corvette. And Matt just making it look easy, smooth and precise and just very controlled. Matt Field has dialed back his aggression. He has grown into being controlled. We've seen him before. We do some wild stuff. I'm like, what are you thinking, Matt? And he's lost championships that way. So I'm sure that's in his head. And now he is playing things still great. Everything looks amazing. Just dialing it back just a bit. But Higa, it's tough when you make a mistake like that. Going into 2 that early in the course, you're only a quarter of the way through. You spend the rest of the time just trying to play catch up.
Just that evolution of Matt from, the S chassis and looking at him getting victories, behind the wheel of the LSS chassis. And then, here he is evolving into, the new Corvette that he's developing. Just the evolution of the drift cave and the caveman and him, all these things have really contributed to Matt Field, not just being a Formula Drift driver, but being a personality, really dialing it in, happily married, going on. And he also, you see him in the pits, he's like, what's great about after this? Get to go have some beers with my bros. So that attitude really feeds into it. You can feel that passion. And Diego Higa, the same again, has really contributed to the sport in his home country of Brazil. And look at that, Diego Higa, he drags bumper on that first outside zone, coming to that second outside zone. That wheel gets aggressive. He gets into the side, the backside of Diego Higa, and we talk about the fangs and the evolution. So as kind as much of a party he wants to have, he definitely wants to get this victory. Looking very forceful into outside zone 4. And that is a very aggressive way to make your presence felt. So let's back that up. I think, again, that first hit, he could have wiped himself out there.
Yeah, so when a driver makes a mistake, they almost enter that fight or flight mode, and Higa entered the fight mode. I mean, great initiation, gets super aggressive, and then Matt Field realizes right here, he goes, uh-oh, he's on one. Now he has to dive in, makes a bit of contact, they don't push into the wall, so Matt Field does have a bit of a mistake there. And I don't know if that's going to cost him it, but then he realized, I really got to push hard. And I love this dive right here from Matt Field. Not super fast, doesn't do anything too wild, but is able to time the transition going into 4 so he can get into the pocket, gets on throttle, and just sticks the landing.
Let's watch outer zone 2 as well. Why was the contact made? Was he being too aggressive?
Right.
Was Diego? So again, as sensational as that FPV is, with Justin Smash's drone, I like that static, that overhead. But here, this is going to be great. I'm really kind of watching the right with Field in that chase.
Yeah. So when it comes to that, does he? I mean, Higa slows down there halfway through the zone. You called it.
Yeah, that smoke trail, and that's not always the rule. It's just again an aid, kind of an indicator, that smoke signal.
Yeah, exactly. So the judges are looking for the drivers to slow down before they get into that zone and then get on throttle. Where it looks like Higa was carrying a lot of momentum through the first part of it, realizes he's about to catch the wall, comes off throttle. Matt Field assumes he's going to have the same speed. And I mean, really at these speeds, 1 or 2 miles difference is going to close the gap real quick.
And especially for Matt Field, your fangs are out, your claws are out. And I talk about this kind of evolution of the head caveman. Matt Field gets the win. Great effort by Diego Higa, but to our point, kind of floated outside zone 2, and that's why Field got close to him on 4, because he kind of floated that as well. But we're going to throw it down to Lorette Nickel, and she is with 3-time champ Chris Forsberg. Hey, what did Robert and Chris talk about when Robert came over to the car, Lorette?
I'm getting static in my ear. Sorry, Jared. I heard something about what Chris wants to talk about, but I think what Chris wants to talk about is that track, and it's deceivingly tricky.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty easy track, but it has those really tight transitions that are right after the braking zones, the braking zones are right after the transitions, and so it's like you're trying to get the car wound up and cross over as quickly as you can and then get on the brakes, and it's really digging the front end in. We've been making changes to the front end of the car to get it looser so that we can get that 4-wheel slide and carry the momentum out of the corner, not just pivot. So we're happy to get the win. Robert Thorne, he definitely sped his car up. He was a lot faster in that run than I was expecting, but yeah, he put on a good show, and we're happy to be going 16.
And it was a little tricky for you chasing him with no bumper and no lights.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a distraction when you just got a pair of fenders flapping, no taillights, no trunk, no bumper. And so it makes some of the timing a little more difficult, knowing where the back end of the car is. But, yeah, and he had a little bit of a bobble in the final turn out of 4, and I kind of rode the edge of the track, got a little bit of the dirt there. So kind of similar mistakes, but, yeah, happy to move on.
Chris, congratulations. We're going to move over. We're going to go get Ryan Tuerck, who's sitting here. And these are the garages that are really cool. We have a lot of shade. Normally, St. Louis is very, very hot. And if I can get Ryan right here. In New Jersey, last round, you were having some overheating issues. It was pulling power away from the engine. Has that been resolved?
Yeah, the boys did a really good job. We've been testing the car and how to are seeing what the airflow is doing in the back of the car. So they had removed the hatch, put it back on, found some things, and then they drilled some more holes, some more air pockets to vent. And they actually taped some string to it to see how the air was blowing, and found out what was happening, which was great. So it has now since been resolved, and the car's running a lot cooler out here on track. So things are good.
Okay, and how's the grip level of the track?
It's been pretty consistent, I think. From Thursday practice today, we haven't really done any changes to the car. Everything has felt really good, and the track has not really changed much, which is awesome for the drivers. So I think it will change once the temperature drops tonight, which we'll have to be on the lookout for. But it's right now it's pretty great. It's pretty sweet out there.
Yeah. Well, it is pretty sweet, and what else is pretty sweet is we're going to take a quick commercial break. We will continue with top 32 battles. Don't go anywhere.
In drifting, everything's a mental game.
Boom! Perfect.
You're not focused. You're off your game.
Ryan Tuerck is back at he wants it.
Extreme performance racing, battle tested in Formula Drift for the last 4 years. XPR contains center-look additive technology, ultimate Z DDP wear protection, and superior high-temp performance. Pour purple, royal purple, the synthetic expert.
Drifting is not just a sport, it's culture, it's in our blood.
It's a fine line that you have to walk. You have to be able to adapt on the fly and be able to drive on your instinct.
Tires are what we live and breathe in Formula D. We couldn't do this without them.
Welcome back here to our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. That's right, Rockstar Energy, the official energy drink of Formula Drift. I'm Jared Dieta, Jacob Gettens, co-host here. We're up in the booth. Lorette Nickel getting all the heat on the street. We're talking about, she is down in the pits and talking to the drivers. Right now, Connor Shanahan, Jonathan Castro. This is the one more time battle. If you're just tuning in or if you missed it, Connor Shanahan led on the first battle, on the first portion of the battle, hits the wall on outside zone 1. DB completes the run, has to replace the tire, calls comp timeout. So keep that in mind. Use the comp timeout. they go again, and it was a split decision across the board. Robin Ishida said Castro. Vernon, he said one more time. Guess what? Brian Eggert said Connor Shanahan. So they are going one more time. So, you know, Shanahan, like we guessed, his brother tuning in, and his spotter from across the globe, Castro. So we got Ireland versus Dominican Republic going one more time. A great battle. Let's see a clean fight here. Ding, ding, right? So no hitting below the belt, boys, as we are about to see this. The lights are on. Once they extinguish, we're ready to go. Connor Shanahan in that Red Bull Garagistic BMW E36. Here we go, Castro in that LTH Toyota GR86. Shanahan, he's going to steer clear of that wall, but he does flirt with it again, man. Come on, fool me once, you can't fool me twice. Here we go in that second outside zone. Now going a smooth line there in outside zone 3. Castro back a little bit, now transitioning through into outside zone 4. Shanahan absorbs with that back right tail light, takes a lick and keeps on ticking. So as they keep on keeping on, anything jump out to you and points of interest, Jacob?
Yeah, I think we're going to miss lunch because if they keep driving like this, we're going to be doing one more time until.
Well, Shanahan, again, roll the tape. Roll the tape.
Roll the tape. So, I mean, Connor Shanahan, once again, just knows that he needs to push as hard as possible. So, I really like the way that Castro is able to dive backwards into the pocket. Super hard to do. Once again, though, it doesn't fill all of the second outside zone in the chase. Still need to be doing that now. Shanahan throws all the speed he can into the car. Good transition, nice and slow. But there is a big e-brake pull that happens about halfway through. Castro is able to clean up the gap a bit there. So, I mean, it was a good
Who
run.
had the e-brake pull, Castro or Shanahan?
No, Shanahan about halfway through, kind of on that transition road. But yeah, it's good. The only thing I wish Castro did was just kind of pull the line a little bit more. You see a bit of contact. I was watching for that to see if maybe there was going to be another DB. But yeah, I mean, Shanahan does a really good job. I think it's right there. You see it. You can see the car get disrupted just very briefly. It wasn't, I mean, it is going to slow the car down slightly, but I wouldn't call it a decel. It was more of a, I'm about to go hit the tire wall. I need to bring the back end around a little bit so I can push out.
We saw that in outer zone too. I don't know if you saw that handbrake. So really massaging the car into those outer zones, because when you pull the handbrake, that causes the car to just slide in that back end to draw back. Here we go, Castro now in that lead position. Shanahan, we talked about, and we're doting on him, how well he does chase. But I'd like to see him not giving so much of the buzzsaw, but just lurk in the shadows, and that's what he's doing. I like that. That shows better car control as opposed to way shallow for Shanahan. As Castro continues on, that could be the nail in the Irish coffin here for Connor Shanahan. Talking about it and being about it until that last outside zone, but let's take a look at it. Was he thrown off? Again, that smooth C, not a V, talking about that degree of angle and drawing that smoothness on that approach from outside zone 3 to 4. Nothing really stood out at first glance, but let's roll the tape.
All right, Castro with a straight line initiation. We're seeing a lot of drivers transition to this, especially on this track. Throws in a little bit more angle, good transition from both drivers, and this is it. Shanahan just absolutely pushing Castro through this zone. And Castro has to push a bit wide to fill all of 3, and then through the transition, really hard to tell with that angle, but it does look like Shanahan, he timed it correctly, so I'm not entirely sure why the car didn't slide out to where it should have in that point. A little bit tough to call, and then the other question is that one mistake from Shanahan, which is a big mistake?
Yes.
Does that...
Not arguably.
Yeah,
You're about to say arguably.
I know it was, not arguably. It's a big mistake. Does that overshadow the multitude of smaller mistakes we saw from Castro? Castro missed most of outside zone 2 in the chase. He missed most of outside zone 3 in the chase. So let's take a look here and understand who had the biggest, I guess, problem.
The culmination of it all, right?
When you sum it all up.
Yeah.
So look at this. I mean, Castro basically misses all the second outside zone in the chase. Third outside zone, similar. There's a lot of gap there. But does that... Yeah, man, I don't know. Does that add up to
big
more?
miss? What is it? Cut by 1,000? What is it? You know?
Yeah, death by 1,000 cuts.
Yep. So is it death by 1,000 cuts, or is it one big stab that Shanahan had? Yeah,
so both of them, you know, obviously they had errors there. And
wow, here we go. Quickly, Connor Shanahan, Jonathan Castro, slide him left for Connor Shanahan. So Shanahan gets the victory. And I think to your point, Brian, if you can't throw on your headset, you're looking back at me. I think it's, look, and there it is, still a smile on Castro's face. Castro, hold your head high, buddy. Jonathan Castro, LTH. hold your head high, brother, as we are taking a look at that. Brian, down to you. Did we hit the right spot there talking about the mistakes?
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at lead to lead, Connor put his car in all the right spots when he was in the lead, and then you look at Castro's, he was slightly a little bit shallower in most of the zones. So comparing those two, you got that. And then when you look at the chase, Shanahan did a great job in the chase for outer zone 1, 2, and 3. And it's just when they came out, he kind of messed up and shot it short. So if you take that into consideration, then compare what Castro did in the chase, where he was a little bit shallower in outer zone 1, outer zone 2, and then he was slightly inside on 3 as well. So it's like he had mistakes throughout the entire course in his chase, but Shanahan's was just that really big one that he did at the end. So even if you count the chase as a wash, lead to lead, Shanahan still did a better job.
The kind of accumulation of all those little mistakes compared to one, so the accumulation is larger than the one mistake of Shanahan.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's kind of a change that we've gone through this year as well. You know, it used to be a lot of like lead versus lead, chase versus chase, and now I'm starting to understand it is a culminative effort between both runs, and this is a great, explanation of that.
Yeah, a perfect example.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We are looking at Odie Boxis, who has been really fast with the course. Odie, he's right there in contention. This, field suspension vortex supercharged. Wow, across the nose of Joao Barion. Looks like Joao gets into the back end of the S chassis. Watch this transition here. Odie keeps on, but Joao Barion, he knows who he's going against. And there we see that Corvette nose exposed. He gave him a nose job, even though he didn't want one. And now coming to that final outside zone. Here it goes. Joao Barion almost gets with that wall, that Monster Energy Bavarius Corvette. Wow. Again, as a chase car, you can't impede, and we've seen that being done before, but impressive for them to keep on.
Man, so Odie's been doing this initiation all day. He actually had contact with Hurst in practice on Thursday, but man, Joao times it so close. But Odie Boxis, I don't know what has changed with him, but he is driving angry. It's the only way I can put it. It is so aggressive, but somehow still calculated. He's 90 degrees to the wall to the end of the third outside zone, and then just puts on rocket ships and disappears into outside zone 4. And most other drivers would have completely offshot that. We'd be cleaning them up out of the production truck. But somehow Odie Boxis finds grip in the car and gets back on throttle. And Joao, he did everything he could. I don't know of a way that you could chase that any better or any more aggressive. But look at the gap that Odie's able to get here. And then this transition, it's still smooth. And look at it, he just scrubs speed, gets back on throttle, fills the rest of the zone. Man, Odie Boxis is going to be one to watch for the rest of this night.
Absolutely. And again, there's the fridge doing double duty here, grabbing the large Corvette front bumper. All right.
Man.
Michael the Fridge Weber, keeping it cool.
Yeah.
So there we are, taking a look. Looks like, and we are seeing a courtesy 5 here for Odie. Contact between the two of them, so courtesy 5 for both drivers. And not utilizing the competition timeout, just getting clarification here. So both drivers are getting courtesy 5, not having to utilize their competition timeout. I think that's the right decision. Contact, both being aggressive. As we watch Mario Kart here in the background.
He's gonna use the shell, man.
Dude,
use the shell.
Which color?
Oh, red.
Duh.
Yeah, of course.
That's the heat. It's a heat seeker. Heat seeker, dude. All right. Throw a banana. Please throw a banana. That'd be amazing. All right, Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Jeff Jones, Simon Olsen. So vehicles look obviously similar, but you can tell them apart with the fluoro orange versus the fluoro yellow. Jeff Jones and that Evil Auto Works Nissan 370Z. And we are taking a look here. And again, that courtesy competition timeout is contact without an incomplete on run 1 is, again, that courtesy 5, so an automatic 5 there for those two drivers.
Yeah, and going back to those stats there, so those are being pulled out basically from the last 4 years. Keep it nice and relevant. So 2020 on, you can see both those drivers very, very close when it comes to their matchups there. So absolutely great comparison here between Jeff Jones and Simon Olsen. Simon Olsen on an absolute heater here for the last year.
Yep.
Jeff Jones, he's got some work to do.
Yeah, but man, Simon in Jersey, just what a tough break, dude. What a tough break. Jones, always a good time. And again, curator of Hot Pit Auto Fest going on next week. Oh, look at Jones. He brings it in, but Simon Olsen hangs back. Again, maybe giving him too much respect. He needs to get up there. Giving him maybe some room here, maybe lunging towards the end. Let's see what he's got. Good line by both the drivers. Jones, perfect on the outside zone 4. Jones is due. I'm telling you what, Jeff Jones is due. We've seen him get on the box before, and I'd love to see him, just really rise to the occasion. There we are looking at the field suspension teammate of Odie Boxis. Taking a look at that back right.
Yeah, so Jeff Jones, the only thing I really noticed as a negative is it almost looked like he missed a gear there for a second on the run-up, and the initiation wasn't super aggressive, but other than that, super quick, and then Simon Olsen here has to dig out, pull a bit of line out of the car to get the proximity back, as Jeff Jones adding a little bit more angle here and there, comes out of the third outside zone, great. They transition nice and well. Simon could have been a little bit quicker on that so he could fill the rest of the pocket, pulls a bit more line out there. So Jeff Jones, I mean, other than that spot right there, which is, I kind of called it a balk earlier, Simon is able to catch up, is able to get the rest of it, but it might have thrown Simon off his game a little bit. Either way, it's not quite the chasing we're used to seeing out of Mr. Olsen.
Simon Olsen, where are you at, buddy? What do you got? Jeff Jones, again, that could have been an opportunity there. And again, the Norwegian flag waves high, saw his pops earlier, and there, boom. Yeah. There's Dad cheering him on. Again, a Norwegian drift champ. There he is, atop the building, flying the flag the highest. His pops cheering him on, and right there is Simon Olsen is leading that field suspension S15. And Jeff Jones will chase him down with that big drift energy. Evil Auto Works, operating out of Redlands. Great chop out there. Here we go. Simon Olsen initiates. Ooh, Jeff Jones, look at that. He drops into formation. Sticks to him like Velcro, little hook and loop closure. Now dropping in, you can see that. Simon Olsen, good clean line, pulls away from Jeff Jones into this final outside zone 4. What's Simon gonna do? Quick little yank of the handbrake. Jeff Jones. Saw him kind of drop back there. That was an interesting approach. Maybe got nervous of the wall.
Yeah, so the 3 to 4 looks like something that's happening with the cars. That aggressiveness between, like, coming through 3, picking up all that speed, and able to checking the car up in 4 is a product of the setup in these cars, because we saw the same thing with Odie. We're seeing it now with Simon. So Simon doesn't fill all the first outside zone, but Jeff Jones adds, like, a shadow basically there. Now Simon does a good job through the second outside zone. Jeff does a better job than Simon did in the chase there, but right here is where these field suspension cars start to take off, and then he catches it and is able to get back on the throttle, and Jeff Jones cuts out a large portion of outside zone 4. So, man, real tight. This is really going to come down to what we saw before. The small mistakes, how much do they add up, and what the difference is. So,
overhead.
Back to our BC Racing custom coilover side by side. You can see, so lead versus lead there. I would say that Jeff Jones has a bit of an advantage. The second outside zone is pretty comparable, but Jeff does a better job in the chase. Third outside zone, though, that is all Simon Olsen. And then fourth outside zone, Jeff does a good job, but Simon has a bit more there.
Yeah, C to a V. Again, you saw that with Jeff kind of check up halfway through the outside zone 4. And there he is again. Norwegian flag, his pops. Don't see him every round, so it's good to see him. Good to see him in the mix. Good to see him. Good to see him here. But, maybe he's a good luck charm.
He's very, very supportive. Comes out to so many different things, and I've spent a.
You see him in Gothville?
I did see him in Gothville.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, here we go. One more time. So, absolutely across the board. So unanimously.
Yeah,
all right,
got it.
We'll take it. Yep. We'll take it. Little head nod. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
Brian Sage's favorite word. It's fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Matt's his spotter, Simon's spotter is going to be in his ear, and I've heard the way he speaks to him. I don't know what they're saying, but I know it's aggressive.
Oh really?
Oh yeah. He
talks to him very aggressively. He doesn't know what he's saying, but he could be like,
You're doing an amazing job.
I would say it doesn't matter what you say. If you have your arms raised up like this, I think you look great, and I think you smell awesome, but if your hands are elevated like this, it looks very aggressive. All right, we got another Norwegian driver here, Fredrik Aasbo and Daniel Stuke. And you can, gosh, look at this, 77% winning percentage. Overall wins, 95. Stuke, statistically speaking, let's see what you got, kid.
Yeah, definitely a bit.
I call him a kid, but obviously he can rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
And Aasbo does have a kryptonite.
Yeah.
That doesn't say 100%.
No, it's not 100. No one's perfect.
No.
I mean, I know you try. I know you get close, but
I'm way more humble than you. All right, Frederick.
humblest guy I know.
Dude, I am so much more humble than you. Frederick, Aasbo, Daniel Stuke, Freddie in that Rockstar Energy Toyota GR Supra, and Daniel Stuke in that M-Spec Performance S chassis. Look at this. White and gold all over. Look at this. And now into that second outside zone. Freddie, again, just the robot. He's, like I said, he's kind of shown some cracks before, and now here, Stuke dives in on the inside, not the right line from Stuke, and contact is made.
Yeah.
That was, you saw Stuke shoot in, grip up, and go ahead and hit that left front Forgestar wheel, wrapped in the Nitto tires. What a bummer there.
Yeah, that was a desperation move there from Stuke. I mean, it sucks, but that's and at the end of the day, that's what ended up happening there is Stuke got caught a little bit far behind. Aasbo up front, from my first look at it, everything looked fine. Yep. And Stuke just had to do what he had to do to get back in the race and did a little too much.
Yep. There we are in Simon Olsen's car. And again, Daniel Stuke is at fault. The judges quickly say, yep, definitely Stuke. Up until this point, decent.
Yeah.
Freddie put the car in the right places. Walking through it, sorry.
Very calculated initiation. Second outside zone looks good. Stuke cuts a bunch of line there for that section. Then through the third outside zone, we see a little bit of left foot brake. Stuke dives in right here, completely missing the path, and just catches front wheel on front wheel. When that happens, the steering wheel comes out of your hand. There's nothing you can do. That steering wheel gets completely torn out, and and you can see it. You can see Freddie trying to get the car collected, and it's all over at that point. There's nothing you can do.
All right, so taking a look here. All right, so contact was made. Freddie will be able to get hands on his car without utilizing the competition timeout. If Stuke puts hands on his car, he would have to use his comp timeout.
Yeah.
So again.
And I mean, you might as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, there's no reason, because one, you're at a deficit. Two, you want to make sure your car is running up to snuff. Again, this is a courtesy competition. So again, five-minute allotment between that of Joao Barion and Odi Boxis. Hey, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you can see how bouncy Joao's car is there. You see how it kind of looks soft. So when we talk about the cars gripping up and being soft, that's what you're looking for there. Seeing Joao's car bouncing like that, it has some benefits, has some drawbacks, but when you hear us talk about a soft setup or a grippy setup, oftentimes that's what it looks like.
Right. All right, so I know the Conklins are watching from Germany right now. Shout out to the Conklins. Griesbiel, and we got that of Jason Conklin. So here we are, taking a look, and it looks like Joao Barion pulling up. This is the second portion of this battle. This is run 2 with Joao leading, and Odi Boxis will be chasing him down. So here we go, Joao Barion and Odi Boxis. All right, here we go. So again, with that contact, they did complete the run, so keep that in mind. Here we go, lights will extinguish. And Joao, another Brazilian pilot. He's got the clean air in more ways than one, because he opens it up without that front bumper on, gets into that first outside zone, and you talk about how aggressive Odi is. You talk about how good Connor Shanahan is chasing, but also Odi, just look at the degree of aggressiveness from Odi Boxis, that field suspension S15. Good job from it in that last outside zone. Man, a lot of these guys are just pulling that out of their hats. So some great execution there from Joao Barion, pulling that off.
Yeah, it was, very aggressive, even right off the gate there. I mean, Joao Barion just hucking a ton of angle at initiation, knowing he's kind of behind the 8-ball a little bit and has to go hard. You can see it right there. Joao adds even more angle coming out of the first outside zone as they transition into the second. Joao does a good job in the lead, and Odi does miss a little bit of the zone, second outside zone there in the chase, and even a little bit there in the third. But yeah, everything looks great there from both drivers, and Joao driving like a madman to get through it. I'd never like to see when somebody has a mistake on that first run, but it usually means that the second run gets absolutely buck wild.
Yeah, again, just like I said, I think Odi is just like, I'm tired of being the bridesmaid, dude.
Yeah.
Why not me? Why not me?
I need that championship. Let's go. He's doing everything. I mean, he's doing stuff with the car that we haven't seen before. He's driving with a level of aggression we haven't seen before. I don't know where he keeps developing new ideas and tactics and setups, but Man, Boxis is on one.
Yeah, Dr. Odie Brisket, dude. Brisket for the brisket. You know, I mean, you got to let it ferment, baby. Hey, how we doing out there? We got drift fans of all ages. Yeah, that guy, big bow tie guy. We got a drift STL shirt out there. And here we go, Odie Boxis, Joao Barion, and it looks like Odie Boxis does get the win. Joao Barion, again, seems that, again, another Brazilian driver that just progresses with every turn. It is unanimous, and Odie Boxis gets the victory and advances on. All right, we'll take a short break when we come back here at round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship.
I'm Tuerck, and I'm super proud to announce Rain-X's all-new wiper blade design, the Tuerck and SUV Heavy Duty Series.
Whoa, cut! Ryan, it's the truck and SUV blade. It says it right there.
These new blades are specifically designed for truck and SUV windshields. They're tougher and built for rugged weather. Like I said, the all-new Rain-X truck and SUV blade, engineered not to be turked in tough conditions and built for your truck or SUV. Get a pair today, only at AutoZone. I mean, I still like the idea of a Tuerck and SUV blade.
Turn your passion into a career at the University of Northwestern Ohio. From high performance to automotive, diesel, and everything in between, you'll find a degree that will get you a job.
Students that go through our programs have fantastic experiences and they come out getting good job placements.
70% hands-on, no out-of-state tuition, and accredited degrees in trades that are in high demand all across the country.
10 out of 10. If you even think this is the right place for you, you better just go.
Learn more about your future at unoh.edu.
Ready to rise? To the challenge? Above obstacles.
Yes!
Above perceptions.
Ruttiger, implement the pass on the top lane.
Above it all.
Let's go!
If so, we're looking for you. Join us at Toyota Racing.
Look at that Nitto tire just rip.
Been holding power you make for 30 years. But here's the real question. How much torque are you making? Because every single ACT clutch is rated by the torque produced at the crank. That's all your clutch cares about. Your power, your performance, your success. Unrivaled precision, power, and durability. Visit advancedclutch.com today. 30 years of precision engineering and performance excellence. Because every revolution starts at the crank.
Welcome back here as Odie, his teammate, has advanced on, and you know, every point matters because James Dean, our points leader, he's already in the 16. He had his bye run, or didn't have to complete a bye run, but without doing that, because he didn't have a competitor in 32, he's already in 16. So James the Machine Dean is advancing on, so every point, every turn matters. As now we're going back to, again, this is a one more time battle of Jeff Jones and Simon Olsen. It was unanimous. And here's that Evo AutoWorks Big Drift Energy Prisma Nissan 370Z.
And there's a little bit of bragging rights here too. I mean, Simon's won 3 times and Jeff's won twice in their 5 times together. So, I mean, I'm sure Jeff would like to close that gap, and I'm sure Simon would like to extend it.
Yep. And there it is. There's the stats. So taking a look at that, fairly equal as far as you know, right there in the mix as far as wins. You know, Jeff Jones been banging away for a little bit longer than that of Olsen, and we are sending cards. But tell you what, Simon making the jump over to Odie's camp and campaign this vehicle. Never driven an S chassis, never V8, never supercharged. All that together till last year, and obviously it's working. Here we go, Jeff Jones. Ooh, he tapped real hard. Fortunately, he doesn't come unbeaten, but does that I think that threw Simon Olsen off a lot. So we're gonna have to get that overhead view from a man, Aaron Jesse, the eye in the sky. Now transitioning that last outside zone goes Jeff Jones, and Simon Olsen does gain a lot of ground. Let's see. Again, that was a pretty big hit by Jones. We talk about that overhang. That Z does have a pretty extensive little, what do you call it, BBL?
I mean, you did. So, looking at the run up here, Jeff Jones definitely rowing through the gears as quick as he can, and then starts to float the car out. Just what it comes down to is not getting on throttle soon enough. And you can see it, he gets on throttle as he's hitting that wall, and that's what it is. We want them on throttle as soon as possible, not only because that's what we're asking for, but because it's going to set you up for the best line. So from there on out, though, I mean, obviously Simon saw the impact, kind of went, okay, we got to hang tight here for a second. You'll see a bit of hesitation from Simon Olsen, almost waiting to see if Jeff Jones is going to spin out at that point. And there it is. And you see Simon got like, oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then there, Jeff gets back into the second outside zone after missing the first half of it. But I mean, shouts out to Jeff Jones. Hits the wall, keeps going, puts the throttle down. It's like, all right, let's go.
Big drift energy. He says it on the roof.
I like it.
And we are seeing Jeff, again, saw the one more time. Looks like he might be heading back. No? Okay, good. He says,
back around.
Good.
Yeah.
Little cosmetic damage, NBD.
Takes a licking. Keeps on ticking.
And Simon Olsen will now lead that field suspension. Like I said, just a great formula for this Norwegian Drift champ coming together. Olsen, always a great attitude, and I'm looking for him. If it's not this year, it's at some point he will be a champion. Just gonna throw that. Simon Olsen will lead. Jeff Jones giving chase. Jeff Jones, look at that right there, drops into formation, but Simon Olsen a little bit deeper in that lead position. Oh, Jeff Jones comes up way short on that outside zone too, almost getting contact with Olsen. And look at, I was just gonna say minimal corrections. Into that last outside zone. Jeff Jones taking a kind of an awkward line on that approach on that last one.
Look at Odie.
And there's smiling.
The international hand signs. Look at, like, he's gapping them, and I dialed in the suspension that way, and that's why I got it. But
there's Pops again.
It's good. I mean, it's obviously a lot of the car, but the driving of Simon Olsen, I think he's just come into his own here, and he played it straight. He didn't do anything too crazy. He didn't get into his own head about it. He was still aggressive, did everything he needed to do. But Jeff Jones, almost from the get-go, looked like he was struggling a little bit. I did see something fly off there. I wasn't sure if that was something he picked up before, but flew into the tire wall there into the second outside zone. But Simon Olsen, man, I want to know how they're getting the cars to do this, because they're floating really well into the outside zone 4, but they're catching onto it. It looks beautiful. And I wonder if I can spot what comes off Jeff Jones' car as it flies into our tire wall. Not quite, but either way, I mean, Jeff definitely struggled in the chase. Simon looked great out front. Still, there's still some corrections in his run. There's still a few. You can see the front wheel wavering there a little bit. Like, it's not perfect. Simon's still got some improvements to make. And if you want to win the event, you've got to be perfect.
Well, and coincidentally, if he gets this win, he goes against Odie. So Simon Olsen gets the win. It is a family affair in the 16. So how is that going to work out? And again, talking to Simon's spotter earlier, Simon currently sits in 4th. Odie sits in 2nd. No team orders. The Norwegian flag waves, but we'll see which flag waves in the 16. But they got some time to wait. Also, if you're here in the building or if you plan on it, we have a VIP track walk experience, and we have options of tickets, just kind of GA, VIP track walk. And if you're here in the building at Worldwide Technology Raceway, meet at the podium at 7:15. It's over in the paddock area, just behind the Formula Drift merchandise trailer on the pit side. So you can't miss it. The podium, 2 FD flags waving. So meet there at 7:15. Again, 7:15 for the track walk experience. Just a little housekeeping there for you as we continue in the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32.
I'm liking the kind of the sugar-free liveries, as I call them this year, between Frederick Aasbo and Daniel Stuke there. So.
Yeah, the white and gold. Yeah, the sugar-free. That's funny. It's a good analogy.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Rockstar Pure Zero. Yeah.
Yeah, got a few of these up in the booth. Yeah. Yep. Keeps the energy up, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a couple this.
We've been through.
It's a long weekend. These prospect rounds. It's about attrition. From getting in on Wednesday. You got got seeding on Thursday. You got prospect Friday, and then of course here we are, game day for our pro championship here in the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. 3-time champion Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer Aasbo, and he's being led by Daniel Stuke as Stuke will lead. And keep in mind, this is the second half, because we had that contact and contact between Stuke. Now Stuke, good, clean, sweeping line. This is where he had some trouble in the chase position, but Freddie brings it on back, and that's really gonna, again, sugar-free, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was
when it
pretty
comes
sweet.
down to good line by Stuke out front, but unfortunately that hit on the lead run of Freddie, that's going to hurt.
Yeah, if Stuke, I mean, had a similar chase to what he had lead here, he'd be in contention of winning this for sure. Because Stuke, I love the way he gets onto the throttle there, floats it in, gets on throttle. That's when you see the smoke come off it. Does a really good job through the second outside zone. Frederick Aasbo kind of baiting and just waiting to see what's going to happen here. And then Daniel Stuke, you know, I really like how fluid these transitions are and how smooth he gets back on throttle. Like, Stuke's got all the makings. It was just that one mistake. And really in drifting now, that's where we're at. One mistake, it's all over.
Yep, one mistake could cost you. So here we are, Frederick Aasbo gets the win in that Rockstar energy drink. Nitto Tire Toyota GR Supra. And unfortunately, Daniel Stuke, that M-Spec S chassis, is going to be watching from the sidelines. Good effort. Again, like I said at the start of that battle, said that, you know, statistically speaking, it's going to be an uphill battle for Stuke. Just, again, 3-time champion. That comes with the cost. All right, so next up, Brandon Sorenson sitting 6th overall. You know, again, him and his sister out here competing. Kazuya Taguchi, you know, he's done well here. He's won here in St. Louis, and ever since that moment, he has really gained a lot of attention. Look at winning percentage going up. Overall matches 75. You know, we've seen him in multiple different cars. I thought, you know, with every car, it's like he started out with the GTR, went to the 86, thought that was great, and I, you know, S15, excuse me, S15, the GTR, and this car, an absolute weapon. So, but Brandon Sorenson, you know, he is driving really, really well. Talking about Brandon Sorenson, but you got to think about all the equity of Jerry Yang and Jerry Yang Racing. You know, campaigning Nate Chen's vehicle, his vehicle, and you know, definitely a talented group.
Yeah, we're talking about two massive legacies here in the Sorenson versus the Jerry Yang camp. So, you know, it's obviously the drivers and the cars and everything else, but the teams and the crews that are behind them. I mean, there's a lot of pride there too.
Absolutely. Here we go. Brandon Sorenson, United States Air Force, BMW, and then you can see Kazuya Taguchi in that up garage, Jerry Yang Racing ISR Performance 86, and Brandon Sorenson, he backs it in. You can see that trunk lid being popped open. That caused Kazuya Taguchi go shallow in on the inside. Brandon just slingshots away from him in the outside zone 3. And then yeets his way on into outside zone 4. Kazuya Taguchi just not finding that sweet spot. You can see just a little bit glitchy, choppy, still kind of buffering, maybe seeing a little bit of a blue screen, kind of on brand right now. Just maybe not getting that full download, and might have gotten thrown off right out of the gate. Once you get off, you can never get back on those rails.
Yeah, and Brandon Sorenson getting very aggressive, so I like the movement there, and then look, it pushes it into the wall. Does come out of the zone a little bit because of that. Doesn't seem to affect Kazuya, but I'm sure it does. And then right through here, Brandon again into the wall. And then we go out to the third outside zone where Brandon's on the throttle, and Kazuya just not able to really keep up and fill the zones there, especially here through the fourth outside zone. But at the same time, Brandon being that aggressive and hucking the car into 2 out of the 4 walls, I mean, that's going to, you know, it's going to give some pause in the chase for sure. You see somebody doing this, you don't know what they're going to do next, but I mean, Brandon Sorenson literally using every single square inch of this track.
Yeah, he hawked it not once, but he hawked it twice.
Yeah.
So, hawked two into that wall, and he saw Brandon Sorenson. Again, really, really good driving, and again, notably his sister being the first ever female. It just bears repeating. It's just really cool, and I'm just liking her energy and her momentum, and I'm sure Brandon's feeding off that as well. Even he's trying to grow his hair out to do hair whips.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe, you know.
They're competitive at everything.
and they have their little brother, too.
Yeah, and he's watching come up through the ranks. He's crushing.
He's doing off-road racing as well. Here we go. But right now, all eyes are on Kazuya Taguchi out front, that up garage ISR Performance, Jerry Yang Racing 86. Brandon mimics him, and oh, boy.
Oh,
all right, and I'll tell you, Kazuya, I think this is a perfect storm. We'll take a look at it, because Kazuya might have been too aggressive on initiation, and Brandon was right there as well as Frederick Aasbo watching on. Again, not even breaking a sweat. Let's back this up. So again, here's the scenarios. Was Kazuya going to the wall pretty hard and Brandon was aggressive, or was Brandon too aggressive and pushed him into the wall?
Yeah, it's man. We're
definitely
gonna
look.
See the replay. Yeah,
I'm just saying scenarios.
I'm trying to get prepared for either
right.
one, but yeah, that is a big hit there. Because I mean, so let's look at this, and then we'll do a bit of a comparison here for a second. So Kazuya through, Brandon does give him a little bit of space. Kazuya into the wall, and then Brandon checks him right after. Oh, man, because Brandon also got in the wall, but Kazuya didn't hit him. Now, they did seem to hit the wall in two different parts.
Here's the scenario. If he didn't hit him, was Kazuya going to go into the wall regardless?
I mean, he was already into the wall. The question is, was he able to dig out of the wall afterwards?
But that's, again, like, if we could just remove Brandon from this scenario, like, you know, let's get this CGI going here, the AI.
He's in the wall
yeah.
Yeah.
So Kazuya was already into the wall.
Yeah.
So that's why I say, again, remove him. Taguchi goes in. Brandon just kind of emulsified it. He threw more gas on the fire. He forced him even harder into the wall.
He's doing what we're asking him to do. Yeah.
Kazuya's in. Keep
in
going. Touch. Oh, yeah. He's pretty deep.
And, I mean, it's possible that Kazuya could have dug out of it, but it's also possible that Kazuya could have swung back out and nosed into the wall after.
Right.
Right? Those are the two things that could have happened there. But the hard part is we're asking Brandon to be as close to the door as the driver in front of him as possible. And this is the side effect of that when the lead hits the wall, the driver in the chase is doing what he's supposed to do. He's probably going to hit that car.
Yeah. So, again, a hard hit, a case of, you know, Kazuya knows that Brandon's going to be right there. And he was, literally. But I think that's going to be the case. Kazuya was already going to the wall, and it just emulsified the scenario with Brandon being aggressive.
And he caught the wall really early. I mean, he's basically catching it there right at the beginning of the
Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, he was up.
Yeah, okay. Kazuya was deep into the wall.
Oh, yeah.
There. So the chances of him being able to dig out of it, I mean, he broke his wheel on the first impact. So the chance of Kazuya even finishing the run are pretty slim.
So Brandon's got some time to work on his car. Kazuya Taguchi knocked out, but Brandon Sorenson rises to the occasion in the United States Air Force BMW. Congratulations to Brandon Sorenson. The young buck is moving on. High flying, high soaring. B. Sorenson moves on. All right, taking a look. You can see we are officially 3/4 of the way completed with our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Ooh, yeah, Aasbo Sorenson. Oh, man, Odie, Olsen, and Lorette is with the Norwegian Hammer. 3-time champ.
Well, we were just talking about your car, Freddie, and you said it's the best that it's ever been here. What can you attribute that to?
So we really try to dig deep. We've had success here before in this car, but as everyone's leveling up, so are we, at least trying to. So we've done some gearing changes, running a heavier gear now in turn one, trying to make the car float out a little bit better. Of course, in this battle, it floated out a little too far and tapped the wall there, but you know, we got saved by the bell. Stuke got into me in the last corner, sent me into a spin, and you know, I played it safe in the second run, which is not fun, but something we had to do, and now we're through, and now we're going to step it up.
Did you sustain any damage?
Not much, just a little toe. The toe got knocked out, but nothing bad. The boys got it back together in like 3 minutes, so car is great. Let's see if the driver can match it.
It seems like there's a lot of contact that's happening today, and we just saw contact again in that last battle. You're going against Brandon Sorenson, next top 16. What are your expectations?
Now it's going to be all in. I mean, I think we can all see that he's on a good one. You know, he's definitely charging hard this year. He's one of the up-and-comers, right? And he's killing it. So we're going to have to match him. I'm going to give it everything I got. We know that this is going to be very tough, but we got what we need, I think, in the car. And I'm going to pull out all the stops this next one.
Well, we're going to see him pull out all the stops in top 16, but we still have top 32 battles coming up. We're going to take a short break, so don't go anywhere.
More.
Is this it?
This is it!
Passionate about a life in racing? Circle track, drag racing, drifting, or monster jam. Find it all at the University of Northwestern Ohio.
The passion here is very different than I've seen in the other schools. you guys set them up very, very well to succeed and to win in a big-time way.
The fact there's a school you can go to for racing is just a little bit insane, but it's very cool because it gives kids like me the opportunity to chase that dream.
See where your future can take you with a high-performance motorsports degree from the University of Northwestern Ohio.
If this is your idea of ladylike, you're gonna fit right in. Join us at Toyota Racing.
So the next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer.
Which should give us full communication and full control over all the sensors.
But so far, being able to log in and review every lap has been a huge plus.
To have Link pull through and step up for us and just help us out to be able to all pull it together.
That's all we need. Simple, cheap, easy, works, good ECU, weatherproof.
It's got enough IOs too, like we're doing tons of stuff. Oil, fuel pressure, boost control.
All those features I have thanks to the Link ECU.
Welcome back to round 5 of the Formula Jet Pro Championship. That right there is an Australian motorsport homeboy. He was a great dude, a father, a husband. He campaigned vehicles all across the globe. Levi Clark found a tumor in his brain the size of a golf ball. Most recently, I personally got to see him at World Time Attack, and an absolute sweetheart of a human being. And we just want to send a shout out to lovingly to his family, to his friends, and leaves us. Just passed away about a month ago, a few weeks ago. But thank you to Levi Clark for all he did, building a really cool Exit ES15. He built a hot rod. I don't know if you saw that vehicle. It was at World Time Attack. But Levi Clark, you are missed. Thank you for all that you did in the drifting world. So thank you. We miss you, Levi Clark. He had a really cool helmet. It looked kind of like Ken Block's with the brain, and he had a golf ball where his tumor was. Yeah. So
making the best of it.
Yeah, it was cool, man. Making the best of it. So again, Levi Clark, you're missed, and obviously the Sorenson camp, they just lost one of their team members as well. So want to send a heartfelt thank you to all those that we have lost. Here we go. Again, let's celebrate. Let's burn some tires. Adam LZ, Ben Hobson. This is one heck of a battle. Adam LZ goes hard with that BMW, the Drift HQ BMW. Ben Hobson now transitions outside zone T. Holy cow. That is far from breezy. That is a hard steezy. Wow, that is a hard hit outside zone 2 for Adam LZ. Oh, man. That is going to be really hard to come back with from, and that was unassisted by Ben Hobson in that lead run. That was a hard hit by Adam LZ.
Yeah, that was one. I'm glad everybody's okay, because that was a big hit with a ton of speed into that wall. So, oh wow. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna have to swap back to the replay to truly understand how all that came about. But I'm sure Ben Hobson. Nobody wants to see any of their opponents go into the wall quite like that. And yeah, let's see here. So Adam out front and Ben following in behind. So Adam, ton of speed, good initiation, touches the wall there, and that probably is what pushed him offline, and then tries to back it in and get back on throttle, but it's too late at that point. By the time he transitions, he is carrying so much speed that there's almost no way that he could have dug out of that other than, kind of looping the car. So you can see he's on throttle almost the entire time. It looks like it did bounce back a little bit into the RTR, but obviously that Drift HQ BMW taking the brunt of the force. So wow, look at, I mean, that is, that is not good.
Yeah, he took a hard hit in Jersey. I know he's upset. He's like, there's only one set of those wheels in the world, the last set. I'm talking about his TE37s, and I mean, he moved that wall. So there's Sonny, Ben Hobson's lady cheering him on, Giffy, you got James Dean back there, and you know, Ben Hobson's, he's had a tough go, man, but I'll tell you what, if you want to feel his energy, go to his Instagram, and after he found out he was in the show today on seating brackets on Thursday night, you could feel it. It just, guys, we're in! Like, just, he is just electric.
That's a lot of relief.
Yeah, a lot of relief, a big sigh, and I got to tell you right now, it seems like he's one step closer to being in 16.
Yeah, so it does look like
it's unassisted.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean,
absolutely unassisted.
It just, I think Adam touching and maybe just nicked the arch.
Ben maybe caught a little back right fender. Yeah, it looks like he actually did maybe pop out the fender, and I don't know, but that could have been even worse for Ben. Good thing it wasn't right on his door.
Yeah, I really think that like when Adam goes to the first outside zone, that push there pushes him a little bit wide and then puts a ton of forward drive in the car, which caused him to shoot out. And it looks like Adam knew in transition that things were not going to look good and gets back on throttle. I don't think he left. I don't think he came off throttle, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
throttled it right into the wall.
Knowing Adam, but that's the hardest hit we've seen in outside zone too, just completely offline. And again, Adam's had some great success campaigning his own BMW E36 this year, that Drift HQ. You know, LZ Manufacturing. He's a busy man, so it's great to get his time. You know, he's obviously arguably one of the most popular drivers out here, so really cool to see him out here and campaign his vehicle. But
tough one.
Yeah,
tough
definitely.
One.
That's not going to buff out.
No. What's kind of interesting about this whole thing too is, you know, obviously Adam no longer with RTR and then Ben coming in. So, you know, I doubt there's any like rivalry or grudge there, but it's kind of neat to see, you know, the driver that's no longer with the team going against the driver that kind of filled that role afterwards. So yeah, just, you know, a little fun with that, but we'll see. I mean, can their team fix this in 5? That'd be a monumental task.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that back left, it was wobbling its way, and that bash bar,
that bash bar is all the way in there.
Yeah, dude, that is Godzilla just smashed that thing, man.
So right now, more than likely what they're doing is just seeing what needs to be repaired on the car, because the moment that they put hands on it, that clock will start, that competition timeout will start. So they're able to kind of skirt the rules a little bit and take a look at all this, but I think we're going to get some more info from Lorette down with Adam right now.
Adam, was that just a misjudgment on your part?
Yeah, you know, I haven't even gotten, I don't want to say I haven't gotten close, but very, very strange. I think I just got into the marbles on that zone because I just had nothing as soon as I was in the zone, and I couldn't drive out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, just short and abbreviated. He's reviewing it, and just on that, that was just very uncharacteristic of anything we've seen this whole weekend.
Yeah, it just, hitting that wall, shooting wide, and into the marbles.
Here we go. So, different kind of BMW, and here we are as Trenton Beechum, 2 different BMWs here. Now, all right, Rome Charpentier taking a look here versus Trenton Beechum. Both these guys, Southern California kids, making the trek here to the Midwest. As you can see, RCP and Trenton Beechum. RCP, a very busy man, you know, taking care of Shanahan's vehicle earlier. And here we are in our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. And RCP will lead. Trenton Beechum will give chase. So, again, we are more than 3/4 of the way completed. And here we go, clear to send. Run 1 of RCP and Trenton Beechum. This Garagistic BMW. Again, the Clonex Nexon tire BMW of Trenton Beechum. RCP leading. Now transitioning into, look like Trenton Beechum, a little tip to tail on that initiation, but then does drop into formation down to that second outside zone. You know, Adam was talking about getting the marbles. Didn't seem that way at all right there. And good angle from RCP. And Trenton Beechum, look at him. The White Widow, man. He is right there. Oh boy. Oh, man. So aggressive, but then just bit off way too much on that last outside zone.
Recovery crew is earning their money today, that's for sure. So, you know, that last zone, we talked about in the beginning, it is eating a lot of cars, and what it comes down to is how aggressive you can be and what that lead car does in front of you. Are they slowing down? Are they staying on throttle? So that's what we're going to be looking for here. Is Rome on throttle all the way through? Is he picking up speed all the way through? And if not, did that cause Trent and Beechum to have a bit of a collision there? But let's take a look before we get to that point. So Rome does a good job there. Trent takes a little bit to settle into the first outside zone. And then through the second one, we see Rome doing a good job. Looks like he missed a little bit in the first part of that. And then right through here, Rome's not filling all of outside zone 3. Ton of speed going into 4. And then right here, I almost need to see the decel lights to be sure. I don't think Rome was decelling through that section. Good transition from both drivers, though. Trent Beechum timing that perfectly. And then Trent gets on throttle. I don't see Rome slowing down. It looks like he was at a consistent speed. Hard to tell, though. But Trent was very aggressive there through the fourth one. So see one more time. They come through this. I mean, love the transition from both drivers. Let's watch the front wheels there of Rome to see if there's any steering input changes. I think it looked like Rome was on a good path, and Trent just got a bit too aggressive and pushed him the rest of the way around.
Yeah, and just, you know, I don't think he was looping before he even got hit, but you saw that angle.
Yeah.
And, you know, Rome was definitely maxed out. You know, you could see that counter steer, and, yeah. So, unfortunately, just Trent Beechum caught that front and just looped him all the way around.
And that's the hard part is, you know, because of how steep the curvature is through that section, you have to be at full angle the whole way through. So when you're at full angle, if you get that tap, there's nothing more you can add to the car to save it. So the chase driver kind of has to be aware of that. You want to be aggressive, but I mean, obviously there's a limit to that.
Wow, look at that. Adam LZ and his team. The car is down, pulling that fender out, so it doesn't look as tragic. But, you know, again, he still does have to make up for, you know, obviously getting into that wall.
Right, so essentially to win this, he's going to need Ben Hobson to have something strange happen in the first outside zone.
Yep.
Really, that's what it's going to come down to.
All right, well, if you're just joining us here, the contact, all the calamity continues here at round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship Worldwide Technology Raceway, as we obviously are having some fun. We are still sending it here. Jacob Gens, I'm Jared Dienda, and again, the party continues here on track and, of course, off track. So thanks for joining us out here. Got the cars in the burnout box, the Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32, Taylor Hull and Mike Power. As Taylor Hull, that comp cams, Kenda tires, Corvette, Mike Power in his S15. Ooh, winning percentage, you're taking a look at that. These guys have never gone against each other.
I know, it's crazy how many drivers have never actually paired up. I mean, for the amount of rounds that we've done this, it's pretty cool. So, you know, these stats coming to us basically since 2020. So, you know, the most recent era, if you will, depending on how you break down the eras of FD.
Absolutely. All right, so here we are seeing Taylor Hull pull up to the line, a little old school Dale Earnhardt homage of the Wrangler livery.
Right.
That was kind of the Wrangler era.
Wrangler look.
Livery. Yep. Yep. No matter. You know what they say about Wranglers?
I don't.
Wrangler butts drive you nuts. That's what they say. That's what they say.
I do remember those.
Yeah,
I do remember those.
So,
yep.
Yeah. Yep. So there we go.
All right.
All right. Here we go. Yeah, I said that when I was in college. I never went to college.
No.
All right. Here we go. Taylor Hull will lead. Mike Power about to throw down two different kind of schools of thought, different kind of backgrounds here. We got Georgia versus East Coast, S15 versus Americana, but this should be one heck of a battle. Here we go. Taylor Hull and Mike Power. Taylor Hull, let's see what kind of attitude we got here from him out front. Boom. Goes ahead and initiates. Mike Power has to drop back a little bit. Like to see him be a little more aggressive. You got to think Mike Power had to take, shallows up. Taylor Hull keeps on keeping on into the outside zone 3. Throw some more angle at it. Now coming down into that last outside zone. Mike Power in a different zip code right now. And Taylor Hull maybe flirts with that tire wall. But overall, it looks like Taylor Hull is going to have a bit of an advantage. Mike Power kind of needs to join that chat room, man.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it a strategy by any means, but maybe looking to see if Taylor Hull was going to make a mistake in front of him. But Taylor gets a good launch. First outside zone looks really good, very consistent. You can see the left foot brake there when you see the tire smoke coming off the front wheel. Second outside zone, Mike's basically got to cut the zone just to get back in the race. Taylor Hull could have been a little bit deeper through outside zone 3. good transition here, and we didn't quite see exactly what happened. Wow, that was so close from Taylor Hall.
Yeah.
Our previous angle didn't quite show it as glaring as our overhead did, but Taylor Hall almost put himself out of that battle. That strategy of Mike Power to kind of lay back and wait might have paid off there, but it doesn't seem to. So Mike Power's got a lot of work to do there in the lead, whereas Taylor, I'm sure his wife and spotter is going to be letting him know exactly how this played out, because when you're in the lead, you really don't know what's going on in the chase there, and you can hear the judges in the background kind of oohing because like it was so close to the line.
All right, I know my man Carl Taylor from Hoonigan. He's tuning in, having some adult libations and watching. He says, oh man, like I love it, like all the DMs and the texts and stuff that I get. It's great because I know people are watching from all over the globe. Like I said, the Conklins are watching in Germany. We know the Shanahans are watching, you know, Power. We got the whole, all the families and the extended, just the fans, man, watching all over the globe. So let everybody know. Again, here we are in our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. Mike Power now initiates out front. Good angle from him. Taylor Hall comes up way shallow on that first outside zone. Now Mike Power into the second. He hits it, quits it. Now let's see what kind of line he draws into the outside zone 3. Taylor Hall, look at the proximity from him. How are they going to handle CV? What kind of letter are we going to draw out here on that last outside zone 4? Again, both really kind of need to tidy up. So again, you know, don't know what their deposit looked like cleaning up the place, but definitely need to clean it up a little bit. Here's a broom, sweep it up.
Yeah, both drivers, I'd love to see just a more consistent, more aggressive, and maybe a little bit quicker for Mike Power. It just seems like he doesn't have the car quite dialed in to get the speed, as we saw from the chaser. So does a good job through the first outside zone. Taylor Hall being a little bit hesitant, then Mike basically missing all the second. Taylor starting to hunt in a little bit more, surging here and there. Mike comes out way early from outside zone 3. Which means that once we start to get into outside zone 4, he's going to have to stall the car up a little bit so he doesn't V out like that. Taylor does seem to predict that a little bit, so I don't have a definitive or a clear, in my mind. Both of them have some decent mistakes here. So if they're going to want to do well later on in competition, whoever wins this, they got to clean it up. So
V for not victory. V for the loss. I was going to say V for vendetta, but I was going to say V for the loss. C for the cleanliness.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's, the hard part too is like you don't know what goes through their minds after seeing all these drivers hit the wall and be like, man, like how hard do I really want to push right now? Like is it worth it to push that hard right now?
And I'm hearing that Adam LZ is able to pull up, and they're in the burnout box. So even after that hard hit, kudos to their team. But what kind of victory are we going to see here? Are we going one more time? Taylor Hall gets a 1 vote, gets a 2 vote, 3 votes. Oh no, one more time. So it was not unanimous. So Taylor Hall gets the victory over Mike Power and his Type S S15. So again, full pull Taylor Hall at Comp Cam's Corvette gets the victory. And again, not majority, but he does get the win.
Yeah, I can see the need for the one more time there. I get it. I could see how a judge would look at that and go, both of them had a decent amount of mistakes, but I can also understand the vote for Taylor.
Yeah, like I said, you know, we're really trying to minimize at the top of the show. We talk about 2 wheels off being incomplete, but the other one is really trying to minimize one more times, just for the flow of competition and all that.
Yeah, the one more time is meant to be utilized as, you know, something for an amazing battle. Not, you know, you guys both didn't do great, so we got to make you do it again.
Here's a participation trophy.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Let's reset here. This is the second run of Ben Hobson and Adam LZ. If you're just tuning in, Adam LZ on the first run did lead in his Drift HQ LZ Manufacturing BMW E36, but he smashed in the wall outside zone 2, and Ben Hobson, happy to see him going head-to-head for the first time in his Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD, and that is a failure to launch.
Do we have a restart? That's the only thing I want to look at here.
That was a clean start, and I know that, again, he did have some issues. Remember in seating, the car shut down. From what I understand, it was a clutch issue. So not exactly know what's going on here in the scenario, but no, that was a clean start.
So
Adam LZ just got a major gift, and again, 2 incompletes in the lead.
Yeah, so
again, both incomplete leads. You can't finish out either chase.
And I mean, as I said earlier, I mean, the only way that Adam was going to win is if Ben had a major mistake before the first tee.
Oh, dude, the plot
I am
thickens.
so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, just Ben needed to go through the course at, nothing extraneous, nothing crazy, and there it is, shuts it down.
Wow.
A lot of spotters up top up there. You can see, gosh, Adam LZ missing almost half the car. Essentially, this is going to go to one more time.
Yeah, there's not enough information to judge on.
Yeah. So wow, Adam LZ got a major gift. Adam, you need to send Ben a really nice bottle of whatever. I don't
lottery
know.
ticket.
Yeah. Oh man. So look at that. One more time between LZ and Hobson. What a crazy turn of events. Adam goes into the wall hard on his first run leading. Then Ben shuts it down. Crazy. One more time. All right, well, we're attempting to see 3 more battles, and we're going to see that. Let's throw down to Lorette Nickel. Lorette.
Well, Taylor Hull moves on to top 16, so we'll see him in a couple hours. And seems like there's a few things to clean up in that 16.
Yeah, maybe more than a few. So he's so noisy, right? Yeah, so my spotter tomorrow came on the radio after my lead, which I felt like I had a pretty good lead, and let me know kind of what happened behind me. So I tried to make a few compensations for that, and definitely went way too conservative. And I got to own that, and I got to clean that up, and we will for top 16, whoever we're battling there. And appreciate the opportunity. Thanks to all the fans who are watching, and keep watching FD and top 16. Make sure you come back to watch.
Taylor, thank you very much. Jared?
Thank you so much. Again, Taylor owning that, so I appreciate that. And we are hearing that that Beechum was going to call a competition timeout. And where are we at on this? Remind me, we're kind of bouncing around here. So this is a one more time.
Yep, that's one more time.
LZ and Ben Hobson, and then Beechum and Rome.
They had contact in outside zone 4, and then it. Yeah, so it looks like he's going to the burnout box. Didn't need the competition time. This is very interesting.
No, we're back. So I believe it was a hood scenario.
Okay. So we're letting him put the pins back in.
Pin it to win it.
Pin it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, this was to bring everybody back up to speed. It was a good run from both. Beechum did need to clean things up a little bit. And then in the 4th outside zone, Beechum got very aggressive and made contact with Rome, and that caused Rome to loop out. So that's where we're at right now.
All right, so second half. Second half of this. So, yeah, again, Rome led. Beechum got into it. So now Beechum will lead, and RCP will chase him down. Remember, again, we have, after this, we do have Hero Minowa and Dan Burkett.
Yeah, just waiting in the wings this whole time.
Yeah. All right, that's, it's a lot of nerves, dude. You're just kind of sitting iced, man.
That's gotta play with your head a little bit.
Oh, of course.
You're ready to go, and there's like, oh wait, there's a one more time.
No.
Oh wait, there's a 5 minute. Oh, there's a mechanical.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes the tow truck.
And this is what we saw from Prospect yesterday. We were kind of smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And then we got to the last quarter of the top 32, and like bang, boom, bop, boom, and that's kind of what we just saw right here. And we're continuing to see it. But you got to think Beechum is at a deficit going here against Rome. Smash gonna drop on in as Sopa gets out of the way, keeping it clean. What do we got here? Sopa talking to Trenton. All right, so Trenton Beechum once again.
Just waiting to hear from race control what all is going on. So trying to get all the information to you watching at home and listening at home.
We're good. We're good. Here we go. Beechum, RCP. Beechum, and now the lights extinguished. Look at these guys just battered and bruised, banged up. And banging doors. Trent Beechum in that first outside zone. Really well done. Just almost getting into that wall, but backs off a little bit. You got to think RCP, just dial it back. Doesn't need to go all the way hard into the paint, literally. And but Beechum, a solid lead run here in that final outside zone. Goes Beechum. He gets in, gets out, gets right back in. So
yeah, I mean, that's not even like a V at that point. He kind of squared the corner off.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Beechum has been on such a heater since Utah of last year, and it's these small mistakes of being too aggressive or just making the wrong decision at the wrong time that's been taking him out. And I mean, it takes a while to get back into it, but Beechum, the first outside zone, everything looked really good. Comes out of the second outside zone a little bit early, and that starts to push him wide for the third. So nice and deep through that section, but then adds a bunch of angle and shoots it right towards the wall and has to stop up quite a lot. So kind of cuts the edges off of that last zone. So I don't know what shape we're going to call that one.
Yeah.
But not what the judges are looking for.
Yep. All right. So there it is. Rome Charpentier will get the victory. RCP will advance on. And Rome will go against either Adam LZ or Ben Hobson. So, you know, the big thing here is, you know, Adam took that hit. He was ready to run.
Yep.
Don't know exactly to the degree of the repair. You know, he only had 5 minutes. And then Ben, again, shut it down. From what I understand, yeah, I heard clutch being thrown around, clutch issues. So, and that was back at seating brackets as the Garagistic team working, again, double duty, both on Shanahan and his vehicle. And what was to be the last battle is not that, because we will revisit LZ and Ben Hobson, or will we? You know, will one of the drivers have to bow out? But right now, Hiro Minowa, 14 years old. Okay, how old? So that's like a freshman in high school, right? Or like,
so yeah,
9th grade?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, the 10th grade?
Depends on when he was born.
Wow.
Yeah, what month?
Wow. So an absolute talent, you know, FD Japan driver, now making the jump over here in Juku Racing 86, and Rad Dan, he made the move originally from Pacific Northwest, Southern California resident for so long, and then now made the move over to Florida. The Rad Industries Mark IV Supra, iconic vehicle, always great liveries, great look, good feel, good attitude. Here we go, Minowa out front, Dan Burkett in that chase position. Dan Burkett earning the position from the seating bracket. Oh, buddy, and now into that first outside zone, applying onto the 14-year-old Minowa, that second outside zone. Dan Burkett, good proximity, mixed angle, you see him throw it out there, but then has to back off. Now coming to that final outside zone goes Minowa, sweeping on in. Oh, and got some baction there between Minowa and Burkett. Again, some great driving by Minowa. Burkett just kind of chomping on the bit, but just going back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, it looked like Minowa on initiation caught a bit of the wall, and I was very curious if there was some wheel damage there. I thought I saw some wavering of it, but Minowa at the gate, Dan does not give him a lot of room. Knows he's going to throw it hard. Has to add a bit more, and you see that first tap there. Now Dan really pushing on the inside, has to pull the car back just to make sure that he can fill the second outside zone. And then right through here, Minowa back on throttle, but Dan too much throttle. Now they transition to the fourth outside zone, and Dan comes up on the inside. Minowa on throttle doing a good job, and then Dan just a little bit of a wheel-on-wheel body check there. And Minowa staying in it all the way through. Very difficult to do when you have that kind of contact. You get a big, heavy Mark IV Supra on you, but just looks like Dan's got so much bite in that car that he's trying to hold it back to keep up with. Minowa's got more than likely a looser setup, a flowier setup, not nearly as fast. But what's going to be interesting now is with that setup in Dan's car, with it, what is potentially a faster setup, is Minowa going to be able to keep up with them when they swap this back around? And we see Minowa looks like he's getting ready for the line, and then Dan having the track staff come over. So is Dan going to end up calling a 5 for that contact that he made? Looking over, I can see Renee, his wife and spotter.
Yeah, it looks like he very well might be.
Yeah, it's hard to say what all is going on right now, and Sopa probably asking what he feels, what he wants to do.
All right, let's move on with it, kids. All right, there we are, looking at looks like that is it's Rome's car. All right, so Rome he advances, but just, you know, not bold and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, they're going to take this time and do a very thorough once-over of that car.
Yeah, especially with that contact. With and here is how the top 16 bracket is shaping up. So you can see Dean versus Hurst, Gushi versus Shanahan, Dylan Hughes versus Ryan Tuerck, Forsberg versus Matt Field. We got Odie versus Olsen. And all right, well, we looks like, yeah, Dan is calling a little competition timeout. Shout out to the Moto Cafe Poetry Club cheering on Dean and Shanahan from Mondeo Park. Dude, we're having a fun series this year. Send it, and Jersey definitely delivered. So lick the stamp and send it. Check out the series, but here's a little teaser. This is E-Town, that's right. Oh my gosh!
No! He does have hair.
Scar for life.
E-Town, good. E-Town, real good.
Let's send it!
Smells like stale beer and old wood.
Turtle Power, let's go!
Old Bridge Township Raceway, simply called E-Town. That's right. That gentleman right there grew up drifting at this very track. E-Town is an absolute epicenter of drifting car culture, so we're going to dive into New Jersey.
E-Town is home. E-Town is the home track. I've been coming here since we were drag racing.
E-Town played a major role in drifting history. So, why not talk to this guy?
What up? How's it going, dog?
Paid to you by the local E-Town Tourism Board. Chris Forsberg, president. Your career started here, events in 03, you know, Tony Angelo, Ryan Tuerck, Von Gittin Jr., but, you know, and also you created the relationship between NAP, the NAP family, and Formula Drift. This is your womb. This is your birthplace.
Yeah, a little bit.
This is a Mike Knapp event. Dude, I looked at look at this guy. Oh, look at this guy. Dude, talk about history. Look at this. Steph Papadakis used to drag race here.
Yeah, we're talking old drag race history. That's exactly what
And this gentleman, we're talking, so like, what a crazy lineage, like seeing his history, but then this place, like going from here to there, and then
just laughing about, we're trying to figure out the years that we even started. And this is a pretty long time ago.
It would have been the late 90s.
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's, what, 25 years ago?
He's been able to see what the greatness that happened back then when he was really putting it down on the quarter mile. And he got to see all that and all those big crowds, and now he's getting to see this and all these big crowds. So he's got a very interesting perspective.
Yeah, it opened in 1965 is when it first opened, 4th July 1965. And from there on, I mean, it just took off. I started working here back in the 80s. I mean, we were only open Wednesdays and Sundays. The people always loved it. You know, you couldn't get a seat. Every ticket was sold out.
There's nothing in this area, so if you're from Tri-State New York, 45-minute drive, you're here in Englishtown. Why not come here? Why not drift? Why not show what you have, your skills? Why not bring friends and family? For all car enthusiasts, car lovers, like, we love it. We just love being here.
We are. Again, watch all the episodes of Send It, our series, but one more time between Adam LZ and Ben Hobson. It was pretty much Hobson's to give away, and unfortunately the car said, nope. It unfortunately stopped working for him. So Adam LZ went hard at outside zone 2 on that first battle. Hobson shuts it down now. So here we are with the one more time between Adam LZ and Ben Hobson. In that Drift HQ, LZ manufacturer. Oh, and Hobson not initiating. Going around the track. Adam LZ continues on. In order to complete this, or in order to advance, he does need to complete it. He is the lead vehicle, so he continues on through the course, making it look breezy on the roof and on the track. Oh, man, Adam. Oh, he flirts with that. Oh, my gosh. What is happening right now? What an unfortunate turn of events for Ben Hobson. He makes it for the first time in head-to-head competition, and now, unfortunately, the car is not letting him continue. Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, I would love to know what all is going on right now, but absolutely failure to launch. Nothing happening there. LZ possibly has no idea what's going on behind him and is just sending it for this run. Doesn't go super deep there through the second outside zone because, well, it bit him the first time. The third outside zone could have been a little bit deeper, but very smooth transition, and then gets a little spicy here through this zone. Real close to the tires, real close to going 2 wheels off, but just able to hang on there. I'm always curious, like, do the drivers want to know that mid-run? Be like, the guy spun out behind you, like, just, I don't know, I have no idea.
Different strokes for different folks, for sure.
But, wow, Ben Hobson, he's got to be gutted.
Gutted, and you wonder, you know, obviously they had the opportunity to get hands on the car. Is he going to call a comp timeout?
Yeah.
I'm seeing the Pennzoil. Looks like the fam is up there. Round of applause for Ben Hobson.
Easily one of the most supportive families here.
Absolutely.
Oh, man, it's amazing.
Yep, Hobson always got a great attitude, but, you know, again, feel the energy there. So he is calling a comp timeout. Hobson is calling the competition timeout, but now, you know, he's looking for, you know,
wow.
So trans clutch, so it. Such a bummer for him, and you know, Adam, he definitely got a gift here.
Yeah, so depending, I mean, wow, they got gear sets out. That's serious. So I was going to say, depending on what the issue is, they might be able to actually fix it in 5. If it's like a master cylinder kind of thing, you know, you can bleed that off. If it's a gear selector, that could be it. But the fact that they've got full gear sets out and what looks like catch pans, they might be pulling they might try and dump out the gear set from the trans and put it back in 5 minutes, which is wild. So yeah, this is crazy. And it looks like we've got the go-ahead, and they are jacking the car up. So
thrashing and bashing, man. So there we are in the RTR camp. You can see Lorette over there. Here's the second half of the Minowa Dan Burkett battle, and again, Burkett, you know, got to the side of Minowa a little bit there towards the end, so he did call a competition timeout. So here's the second half. We're definitely going to see a side-by-side here, kind of bouncing around the different battles and different head-to-head. So here goes a Rad Dan Burkett, Rad Industries Mark IV Supra, good angle from him, again with that clean air. Minowa, let's see what kind of attitude he's got here towards the side of that vehicle. That Ajuka Racing 86 looks like he's kind of kicking back, giving himself some room, but Dan Burkett almost dragging wing on the wall, from the wings to the walls, into that final outside zone, and brings it across the finish line. So a lot more sterile, a lot cleaner. So like I said, definitely going to pull up the side-by-side to remind us of, with Minowa out front and Burkett in that chase. There we are looking at the rear end of Dan Burkett and his Ford Mustang.
Yeah, it's, I mean, it'd be very curious to see if Rad Dan changed some stuff in the car, because it looks significantly smoother than it did before. Yeah, very, very interesting to see. My guess here is they're going to change the rear end. There's probably a gear that's completely blown in the car, so they're changing the rear end to get a better gear ratio to either keep him in second or keep him in fourth. My guess is that third is what the issue is. Total guess at this point, but anyways, that's what's going on. That's why they're changing the rear end. So take a look at our BC Racing coilover side by side. Let's see who has a better lead. We know that Rad Dan had a bunch of issues in the chase there, but Minowa did do a good job in the chase. Just I don't think Minowa had a mistake quite like we saw from Rad Dan there on the left side of the screen. It was a pretty tame chase, but Rad Dan did have a great lead, which makes it so much harder when you see what the consequences of that large mistake was. You know, Rad Dan could have done it, but.
Right, and that was kind of, you know, almost like we saw it earlier with the Shanahan Castro battle, right? The kind of one big as opposed to kind of the accumulation of those.
Yeah, Minowa played it smart. He dialed it back. He was still in the chase. He wasn't super aggressive, but I don't know.
Here we go. So we are seeing Minowa and Burkett. Slide him left for Minowa, the 14-year-old Japanese pilot in Ajuka Racing, Jerry Yang Racing. 86 gets the win. Dan Burkett and his Rad Industries vehicle is knocked out. So Hobson, the car is on the ground. They're dabbing him up. Yeah. So go for it. Lorette, what's going on? Seeing the rear end there.
Well, Ben Hobson's having transmission issues, and he's missing gearing for 3 and 4. He was sitting in his car and he was holding on to his helmet. You could see that he just looked distraught. He wants this so bad. And as he started pulling away from his 5, what I can see happening is the team starting to walk over. He just shut down the car. He was moving the steering wheel back and forth, and Chris Gifford is in the window trying to find out what's going on as he's trying to restart the car.
Okay. All right.
There's still a minute and 42 seconds left of the 5 that he called, so he still has time, but the car is not staying on.
Ignition.
Yeah, it looks like it keeps shutting it down. Thank you, Lorette. You can see there.
Minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, only has first and second gear, so you got to think he's just gonna go for it. But even is that enough? You can see the clock right there on the back of the cart. Looks like Giffy popping the hood. Still has a minute, 15 seconds. So still got a minute. Cheer him on, guys. Cheer him on at home. I know Hobson's got a lot of fans around the globe. The RTR Mustang camp. You can see the signature pink lights going off and on. All right. Yep. Less than a minute left here, Jacob. Again, thanks for all the insight down there, Lorette. And it looks like we are good to go. And you know, even given that the car's pulled a line, make some noise for him. There we are. The Hobson camp and Hobson fans cheering him on to go against Adam LZ. But all things considered,
yeah,
Adam LZ continued his run in the lead position. Now here's Ben, kind of with, you know, some wounds on him, and now he's got to go throw it out there. Adam LZ in that chase position, you know, how much does he risk going and chasing a car that's not 100%?
The real hard part here is, without getting into all the math of it, if he's only able to run first and second, they would have put a massively tall gear in there to allow him to get through this track, which means his run-up is going to be very different than what Adam would be predicting. It's going to be very different. Ben's going to have to do some incredible things to get the wheel speed up in this car, to get the car into a power band where he can get the tires to break free. So we saw him go into the burnout box there. He was testing to see how hard it's going to be. A little bit of a scrub there. These are basically brand new tires for him. So this is going to be interesting. If Ben can even just get around the track like this, that is going to be an accomplishment.
Well, again, you know, it was kind of his to lose, and literally, again, Adam LZ did, you know, in that lead position, he ripped around. He has a full pole, so we need, you know, Ben Hobson, his camp, needs to have a full pole here, and he needs LZ to have a mistake. And we just saw kind of a crazy scenario there on that first battle.
And then that'll come down to the leads at that point in time, which Adam did have a pretty good lead, couple of zones that could have filled out. So Ben right now, with a broken car and the wrong gearing, needs to have an absolutely perfect run.
Yep. You know what? Crazier things have happened. We say that all the time. Here we go. Ben Hobson, Adam LZ, the one more time battle. That's going to be a restart. That's going to be a restart. So here we are, just as the plot thickens. Going to bring it around. That might be definitely not strategy there, but you know, just I think that's nerves. You know, again, a lot of eyeballs on Ben making the jump from pro spec, coming over to pro with arguably one of the most you know, successful teams in drifting. You know, Von Gittin Jr. and his camp, you know, two-time champion with Von Gittin Jr., Chelsea Nova hanging up his helmet last year, and of course, James the Machine Dean joining the RTR team this year. And, you know, he's three-time champion, hasn't had a championship behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang, but he says, man, I'd love to be the first ever four-time champion, especially behind the wheel of a Ford Mustang. And Ford really committing to motorsports and drifting, not just a side dish, an absolute entree in that Ford lineup, from Dakar to 24-hour Le Mans to, you know, obviously road racing, IMSA, all that, and of course drifting. So here we go. The Pennzoil Mustang RTR Spec 5 FD, Ben Hobson on Nitto tires, and here comes Adam LZ in the chase position. What kind of initiation we're going to see from Ben Hobson? He initiates into that first outside zone, big angle there, and again, talking about that initiation, very different than what we've seen before. Adam LZ, he comes out of drift.
Yeah.
And that's going to be all she wrote. And there you go. Again, that was a tall order and a tall gear, a hard ask for Ben Hobson. He was dealing with what he was dealt, and that's just going to really solidify Adam LZ moving on after a crazy hit. What I thought pretty much knocked him out. Crazy turn of events there, Jacob. Unbelievable. Adam LZ and Ben Hobson, and just top 32.
Yeah, Ben's doing everything. He is probably clutch kicking this car about 100 times. You can see the e-brake. He gets on throttle, and then at this point he starts to over-rotate. He's not able to gear down at this point because he's putting it into first. It's such an impossible task on top of what we already asked him to do, which is an impossible task. So, I mean, this is it. Adam LZ moves on to the top 16, and he's gonna take on Rome Charpentier. So,
RCP.
Wow.
Wow, crazy event, Jacob. 32, and again, just kind of a little smooth sailing, and then just all this in that last quarter.
All the drama.
All the drama. Save the drama for your mama.
Love it.
All right. Well, again, on behalf of Jacob Gittins, our judges, Brian Vernon and Robin Ishida, I'm Jared Dienda. That is our Rockstar Energy Drink Top 32. What a crazy event. And it's only going to get better here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Thank you so much. Again, we'll be back here, as you can see, Dean Hurst, Gushi Shanahan, Hughes, Tuerck, Forsberg Field, Odie, Olsen. Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
That's going to be a good
Aasbo and Sorenson, LZ and RCP, Taylor Hull and Minowa. Local time is just about 7 p.m. We'll be back out here, live stream at 8:30. So again, about an hour and a half. So grab a Rockstar, grab a good time. If you're here in the building, get 7:15 for the track walk. Go high five your favorite drivers. Thank you so much for joining us out here. Again, Jacob, see you back here at 8:30, buddy.
See you soon.
All right, see all you, the fans, here at Round 5 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. We call it Crossroads. See you here at 8:30. Send it.
Just give me the word. I feel like you know I don't